The World Cup 2014 in Brazil. This is SJ Radio.
Okay then, sorry about last time. Because we have some difficulty. Will be France and Germany game. It was France 0, Germany 1. That means Germany goes through. And the winner of this game will be playing Germany. It's Brazil versus Colombia. And in 9 o'clock kickoff. All kites yellow. So Brazil is 4-2-3-1 and playing is 12, 23, 8, 6, 8, 3, 4, 11, 5, 9, 10 and 7. For Colombia you've got 1, 18, 7, 6, 2, 3, 11, 13, 9, 10 and 14. And those playing in the format of 4-2-3-1. Listen to it live now. Here only on SJ Radio. Coming up afterwards. After this match, you'll be having a special report on Wild Harris jailed for 5 years, 6 months, 9 months. It's official World Cup Live. Tomorrow you have Argentina versus Costa Rica and the Netherlands versus Belgium. Tomorrow, that is from 5 o'clock. So get there, get going. Steve is still watching. Okay, and here we go then. It's your World Cup coverage.
The official 2014 World Cup coverage on SJ Radio.
Alves at right back, Julio Cesar, Maicon, Thiago Silva, David Luiz and Marcelo across the back. Paulinho, Fernandinho, Hulk, Oscar and Neymar behind Fred for the host nation. The two changes that Colombia have made, Ibarbo coming in for Jackson Martinez, Guarin for Aguilar, Ospina is in goal, Zuniga, Zapata, Yepes and Almero across the back, Sanchez and Guarin as the two holding midfield, Ibarbo on the left, Cuadrado on the right and James Rodriguez going in behind Gutierrez, back to a position where he revelled in the early stages of the competition. Marcelo over on that far side brings the ball under control. Our referee is from Spain, Carlos Velasco Carballo. He took charge of England against Uruguay, Danny Mills.
Just that's a little tweak in possible formation. Neymar's drifted out to this right-hand side. Is playing up front really, I suppose, with a two, with Fred. But you know, as much more on the right-hand side. Oscar's in behind, but very, very close to Fred, and you've got Hulk on the left, which normally Neymar and Hulk would play on the opposite wings.
Thiago Silva back towards David Luiz. There was talk, of course, they might well go with the three central defenders. That's how Uruguay played against Colombia in the last 16. It was a formation that Scolari used to good effect when they won the World Cup in 2002. As Neymar just over the halfway line on the right-hand side. Yellow shirts, white shorts, playing from left to right. Paulinho on the outside away from Yepes. Struggling for pace, but not for experience. Just managed to claw a leg in there along the ground and force the ball out of play for a throw that Maicon will take. And he gently finds the chest of Neymar. Neymar, though, is bundled off the ball by Victor Ibarbo. Coming forward, though, is Fernandinho, cross-charge down, and that'll be out of play for a Brazilian throw, almost level with the penalty area.
I wonder if that's a deliberate ploy. Well, of course, it's put Neymar, on this right-hand side to try and run at Yepes. Yes, a lot of experience, but obviously a severe lack of pace now that he's 38 years old.
Maicon. Neymar flicks it forward over the head of Fernandinho. Cuadrado coming forward, runs into David Luiz. James Rodriguez will pick up that ball and with the outside of his left foot switches play out towards Gutierrez over on that right hand side. Gutierrez faced by Marcelo comes on the inside, broken down by Fernandinho. The boos and the jeers for an apprehensive nation. It's probably taken them about 6 days to regain their composure after that nerve jangling and stomach churning experience of the penalty shootout against Chile. Here is Fred, goes to ground. Spanish referee will give a free kick, direct free kick. 30 yards out from goal, central position. Danny.
A little bit fortunate there, I think, Fred. It was him and Neymar that collided, almost tackled each other. Fred went down rather easily under challenge from Sanchez. But now free kick, probably 40 yards from goal almost, at least 35. Dead central, it's a long way out. Neymar's put it down purposefully. I really can't see him scoring with a direct shot from this distance.
If you use the shades of the grass, you're probably looking at just over 30 yards out from goal maybe, but it's a central position. And David Ospina, the Colombian goalkeeper, is marshalling up at least a 5-man wall. Cuadrado might well plonk himself on the left-hand side of that too. Fred's also in there, as is Oscar. Hulk, Luiz, Neymar are the three likely takers. Neymar waits. Neymar shoots up and over and wide, and that'll be a goal kick. 0-0 on 5 Live. 4 minutes played here in Fortaleza. Danny Mills.
It's been a good start to the game. I think Brazil have come out and shown that they want to attack. I think we've seen in this competition so far, all the teams that have gone at teams, tried to attack them, played at a high tempo, have been the more successful, and obviously Brazil are maybe taking that on today.
Free kick to Brazil, which Thiago Silva will take. He was, his eyes were closed as he sang quite proudly, as did the rest of his Brazilian teammates during that passionate national anthem. Maicon is forward on the right-hand side. Maicon edging his way forward, needed a better delivery, it's drifted out of play, but it will be a goal kick despite his appealing for a corner. It didn't come off Almero, who was backpedaling.
Well, I think it was appealing that Ospina just tipped it over the crossbar, but the linesman was flagging that the ball had already gone out. But I think, Dani Alves normally flying down this right-hand side. Maicon a little bit more defensive, if you like, detailed maybe to deal with Rodriguez, but he's playing a lot more centrally today. He's playing off the striker.
His career has at least been reinvigorated in Roma after it certainly stalled at Manchester City, the 32-year-old. Oscar heading the ball forward out of play for a throw. It was Zapata that actually took the goal kick.
Well, I was going to say that's very unusual, isn't it? That you get an outfield player taking the goal kick. Whether Ospina's got something wrong with him, and he's struggling to kick the ball with distance, that may affect him if he gets past the ball back as well.
Fernandinho, Neymar's gone on ahead of him. Fernandinho will play the ball to Neymar. Zapata will try and hold him up, and the last touch came off Zapata. That'll be a corner kick. He needed to make that challenge, otherwise Neymar would have accelerated and may well have left the central defender in his wake. But it was Fernandinho who looked to seize and get that ball forward early towards Neymar, who places the ball down over on that far side to take the corner kick. 0-0, 6 minutes played on 5 Live. Neymar waits. Colombia have everybody back. In comes the corner from Neymar! It's bundled in! Thiago Silva has scored for Brazil! It's the early goal they crave! And the host nation celebrates! It was a scruffy goal at the far post! Brazil 1, Colombia 0!
What a fantastic start for Brazil. Everything that they wanted during this game has just happened. They started quite brightly. The corner came as a brilliant ball through from Fernandinho. Neymar one-on-one with Zapata, who did very, very well. Really good, strong defending. The corner came in. Not one single Colombian player really attacked the ball. Thiago Silva at the far post. Sanchez just let him drift in. It bounced on the edge of the 6-yard box. As it did, it almost hits his knee, his inner thigh, and he bundles it into the back of the net. Great start for Brazil and the captain, and I think Colombia now could be on the back foot. I said this before the game, that fact that they could be in awe, show too much respect to Brazil, I think they could be in some sort of trouble now.
Brazil have only lost one of their last 16 World Cup games when they've scored first. From a neutral's point of view, we wanted an early goal, and it will certainly make for a very entertaining game now. And how they celebrated in Fortaleza, and you can only imagine, Danny, from when you've been around this country, how they celebrated in places like Sao Paulo and on the Fan Fest in Copacabana in Rio de Janeiro.
I think the Fan Fest in Rio would be absolutely bouncing right now. I remember watching the first game, and obviously when the penalty or the own goal went in, and then they got back in it with a penalty, and the celebrations were absolutely incredible. But I think now you can hear the fans really getting behind their side, and Colombia, they've just got to settle themselves down. They haven't really been in the game so far. They just need to pick a few passes and just settle down for the next 5 minutes or so.
All the pundits in the build-up to this game, the first goal crucial, to get an early goal, to try and settle those nerves.
Big game for Brazil, absolutely massive. If they come out and start well, if they go on to win this game, 2-0, 3-0, 3-1, that will fill them with massive confidence, and then you have to start believing they are a real threat.
The yellow and green balloons are being waved in the air wherever you look around the Estadio Castelao, and they will certainly hope that it is a fortress here in Fortaleza tonight. After scoring an early goal, the host nation Brazil lead Colombia 1-0, but Colombia have a free kick which is almost midway through the Brazilian half. Central position, Freddy Guarín has placed this ball down. He's got to try and navigate the ball past the two-man wall. It's a short runner. Guarín strikes it, tried to hit the valve of the ball, sailed over the crossbar, and that'll be a goal kick as the Brazilian fans celebrate as that ball nestles in and amongst them. And there's just a smattering of blue. Predominantly, though, everybody is wearing yellow, with the exception of that little bit of red from the Colombians.
I think Peckerman will be bitterly disappointed with that goal. The corner comes in, a couple of players go for it at the near post, 3 players around David Luiz. Sanchez leaves Thiago Silva at the back post. Mark Perch pointed out before that, actually, nobody on the back post as well. How often do we see goals scored at the back post when there's not a player there to defend the post? And now suddenly Colombia have a massive uphill struggle. They've just got somehow to try and regain their composure.
Coming forward on that far side too. And it's Guarin's low ball in, and Thiago Silva stretching inside that penalty area, partially clears. Cuadrado falls on the edge of the area. Colombia back towards Cuadrado. Cuadrado shoots! Oh! It kissed the side netting on its way through. Cesar diving away to his left-hand side. And it's gone behind for a corner kick. That was very, very close. That almost silenced the celebrations in Fortaleza.
I think it must just have nicked the deflection. It did off Thiago Silva and got out for the corner. A vital deflection. I think Cesar might have just had it, but as you said, inches wide.
Guarín to take the corner kick on the far side. This should be an away out-swinging corner for Colombia, who are trailed by a goal to nil. Guarín didn't beat the first man. Disappointing. Headed away by Fernandinho. Hooked back over on that far side, but out of play for a throw. 5 live, 11 minutes played. Brazil lead by a goal to nil. Thiago Silva with only his 3rd goal for his country, but certainly a very important one as they lead Colombia by a goal to nil. TGI, it's Friday, TGI 5 live, massive weekend, and it starts here. World Cup quarter-finals, British Grand Prix, the Tour de France starting in Yorkshire tomorrow, Eleanor Oldroyd live from Leeds, and of course Wimbledon finals this weekend. We've got it covered on 5 Live, or indeed 5 Live Sports Extra. And tomorrow, Argentina, Belgium, Holland and Costa Rica. But before that, we're certainly going to enjoy this one. Brazil against Colombia here in Fortaleza. This is Rodriguez, loses out. And this is Neymar now coming forward. Neymar into the centre circle, looking to Oscar with a diagonal ball. Almero should have that one covered. Oscar continues to put pressure. He stumbles, does Almero. Didn't seem too much of a free kick, but nevertheless it's been awarded in Colombia's favour.
I think Oscar might have just trodden on his foot there, but you saw what a difference a goal makes. Neymar picks the ball up deep in his own half and starts running at people. I think can't emphasise enough that the lift that goal will have given the Brazilian team. They were under so much pressure coming into this game, haven't played particularly well, but suddenly now they're already, after only a few minutes, they're in control of the game.
Disappointing goal to concede defensively for Colombia, but there have always been question marks over Colombia's defence. Yes, attacking going forward, Cuadrado pleasing on the eye, Rodriguez with a scintillating goal against Uruguay, but they've always had been those concerns. But those concerns you could apply to many teams here in the World Cup, and it's whoever, we've said it so many times on the panel programmes when we've been down on the beach in Copacabana, whoever strikes that balance will really have strong claims to going on to win this World Cup in Brazil in 2014. Sanchez for the red shirts of Colombia. Forward ball, Cuadrado central position. Challenged by Fernandinho, appeared to be held as Fernandinho. Releases the ball then to Fred. Out towards that far side. The outlet is Marcelo. Forward ball looking towards Hulk. And that was cut out. And now it'll be brought forward with Zuniga. And Zuniga will get a touch. Runs in towards Luiz. Referee will bring it back for an earlier foul from Fernandinho. Free kick to Colombia. Danny.
Well, it's James Rodriguez that's rolling about on the floor. I think Fernandinho has just left a little bit on him. I think it's the old-fashioned way of putting that, just to let him know he's about. Just nicked through and just, well, went right across him with his thigh. Deliberate, intentional, letting him know they're very surprised that he hasn't got a yellow card for that. But at the moment, the Brazilians are winning that midfield battle. Fernandinho, Paulinho in there, Neymar dropping deep as well. They're buzzing around there. They're working the Colombians very, very hard and stopping them, giving them any time on the ball.
It's a Fernandinho who, when we were here in Brazil, when England came to open up the stadium in the Maracanã in Rio a year ago, was struggling to get into the contention for this Brazilian World Cup squad. Had it not been for Lucas Leiva's injury at Liverpool in the new year, he might not even have forced his way into the 23, but certainly he's got that role to play, particularly in the absence of the suspended Gustavo. They're leading by a goal to nil. We're in the 15th minute here on 5 Live. Marcelo over on that far side, the left. Up towards Fred. Headed back towards Fred by Hulk. Fred will hold the ball up and tries to roll away from Zapata. And it's a free kick that's awarded. Marcelo will wait, and then knocks it back towards Fernandinho. Short to Paulinho. Paulinho of Tottenham. Neymar in the centre circle. On the halfway line, just tripped a little bit. The referee's given the free kick. Neymar will take it quickly. Neymar gets it back from Paulinho. Central position. Marcelo is coming up on the overlap on that left-hand side. Cuadrado now with an opportunity to maybe run. Neymar, though, has got back to help out as Marcelo was in an advanced position and not back in his left-back spot. Free kick, though, given against Brazil for a foul on Cuadrado. 1-0 they lead. Brazil, though, 15 minutes played.
It's a frantic pace, isn't it, up until now? You know, the heat is absolutely ridiculous. We're sat here in the commentary box, you know, literally sweating. It must be, you know, 26, 27 degrees pitch side, but the players are really going at it.
Oscar wins the ball back for Brazil, dispossessing Rodriguez. Trying to switch play out towards Neymar, who peeled away towards that left-hand side. Colombia will go back towards their goalkeeper, Ospina. Ospina strikes it left-footed. Gets a little bit of slice on that as it drifts out towards the left-hand side. Maicon now will come forward, goes past the challenge of one player, and it was Armero who comes back, and Armero will only concede the corner kick as Maicon cheers on that Brazilian crowd to whip them up into a frenzy once more for a corner kick. It was Ibarba who couldn't get back at the first time of asking, and Neymar will just shuffle across to take this corner kick, and those balloons are in the air once again. Those yellow shirts and the arms are pumping, and they want to be celebrating another goal.
No one on either post this time, Ian. Dangerous ploy.
Neymar waits, near side the right. Should be an out-swinging corner. Nobody, as Danny Mills quite rightly says, on either post. Luiz, Fred, Thiago Silva is being marked by Sanchez at the moment. Neymar waits, now they can resume. Neymar with the corner kick. Right hand side, crowded area, headed away by Yepes, taken well on the chest by Cuadrado, dispossessed. And this is Hulk. Hulk shot, comes into the 6-yard area, stretching was Luiz. Very good defending by Pablo Armero. Just tucked in and did enough to put the Brazilian central defender off. And as the ball is played back into the penalty area, off balance, it brushes off the forehead of Neymar and goes behind for a goal kick.
I certainly think that Colombia are a little bit in awe at the moment, paying too much respect. They look a little bit nervous, a little bit slow to react to everything. And, well, the way it's going at the moment, there's only one team that's going to score again. Holt was unlucky there, burst into life, challenged on the edge of the box. At the moment, it's not quite one-way traffic, but Brazil are having the majority of the play. And again, now we're seeing Zapata taking a goal kick. That can't be good.
And Fernandinho is just sitting, and at the minute Rodriguez can't get into the game. He's showing that discipline that in the absence of Gustavo is certainly required by this Brazilian side. Fernandinho, who, as we know from watching him for Shakhtar Donetsk or indeed Manchester City, has a more dynamic and athletic side to his game, but so far he's just quite happy just to sit there. And here is Maicon for Brazil, leading by a goal to nil. 18 minutes played, Maicon's clearance out of play for a throw.
Well, a lot's been said about, obviously, James Rodriguez, how good he is, the goals that he scored. I was just talking to a Colombian coach I used to work with at Man City, who is now coach of Nacional. I think they won the league 3 times in Colombia. He said he's a great player, technically superb, but his movement isn't the greatest. You know, he doesn't always work the hardest. You give him the ball, he's brilliant, but he doesn't always work the hardest to get in those positions, to get on the ball or to take it off people. So I think this has now become a really big game for Rodriguez.
You look at his stats the other night against Uruguay: 3 shots, 2 on target. Obviously got the 2 goals and the worldie for the first. Only 34 passes, 25 of those were successful, but 60% of them were sideway passes.
Well, that might sum up the point. You know, he's not one of those strikers that's going to, run after people, chase people down. Work really hard to get into spaces. He's a bit more of maybe a flair player, if you like. Give him the ball and he's fine.
Sanchez, in front of that back four for Colombia, lifts the ball away to safety. Fernandinho will head it back. Taken high on the chest by Oscar before it bounced to the ground. He flicks it out towards Holt. Holt to Neymar. Back in towards Holt. Holt into the penalty area, saved by Ospina. Shot comes back in by Oscar. And then it was Ospina diving away to his right who makes the two-handed catch.
Holt looks a completely different player. Twice already he's been on the front foot, getting in behind the Colombian defence.
I would agree with Julio beforehand. I thought he was one of their better players against Chile. And maybe from a confidence point of view, but the tails are up here for Brazil. That goal has done wonders to settle the early nerves.
I just listen to the crowd though. Every time they get a corner, players waving their arms, really trying to get this crowd behind them.
Corner kick to Brazil, leading by a goal to nil. Neymar to take it on that far side, headed away by Barbo at the near post, comes out towards Marcelo. Marcelo shoots, strikes into the body, I think it was of Yepes. Clearance, maybe a break now for Colombia. Gutierrez looking towards Rodriguez. Oscar of all people, falling backwards, did just enough with the clearance, the flick of the right foot to put it out of play for a throw. Almero will take that throw quickly. Maicon comes across. Rodriguez tries to drop the shoulder, down by the corner flag, trailing by a goal to nil. Rodriguez with a cross, and it's swept away. By the way, that goal by Thiago Silva, the first goal by a Brazil captain in a World Cup finals match since 1994. And we saw Dunga pre-match and he has hardly aged at all.
Yeah, but he did look 45 when he played.
Unlike Tino Asprilla, who's alongside us, who's still as cool as ever, but has put on a few pounds. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
I was going to say,
here is Quadrado.
Kettle, pot.
Quadrado out towards that far side, and it was Zuniga coming forward and out for a goal kick.
What I've really
put your thoughts on the game, though.
Exactly. What I've really noticed about the work rate that Brazilian players are getting through. There was a break there from the corner, 2-on-2. Oscar did very, very well, get the ball out of play. The Colombians tried to take a quick throw in. Maicon sprinted back to get in that defensive position. The Brazilians are all over the pitch, are on the front foot. They're quick, they're closing people down, giving this Colombian side, inexperienced Colombian side at this level, no time on the ball, constantly putting them under pressure.
It might be a pound or two I've added, but I think it's fair to say in the heat here in Fortaleza, I would have shed them by the time we finished the commentary. As Oscar back towards Maicon, yellow shirts, white shorts, playing from left to right. Paulinho, he's got Neymar. Marcelo is forward on the left-hand side, couldn't find him. Quadrado made the good challenge, and Rodriguez turns away from Maicon, and Rodriguez is away. They've got 4-on-2 here, Colombia. Rodriguez out towards Quadrado. Quadrado then looking towards Gutierrez. And it was Thiago Silva with the interception. How promising was that for Colombia?
Wasted opportunity from Colombia on the counter-attack. 3-on-1 at the back with great interception from Thiago Silva.
Neymar Fred was just trying to roll his marker. That was a promising opportunity for Colombia. They failed to take it. They're trailing by a goal to nil. We're midway through the first half here on 5 Live in the heat of Fortaleza. And to take you through to half-time, here's Alan Green.
Before that latest Colombian movement, which did threaten an equaliser, they've looked overwhelmed. It's as if we're trapped inside a giant beehive here in Fortaleza, and the Colombians have been stung by that early goal from Thiago Silva. I'm wondering, if the goalkeeper, quote, has a foot problem. Because they also don't pass the ball back to him.
He must have some sort of issue for a goalkeeper not be able to take goal kicks. And then you actually start to think, well, is that good for the team? You've got a defender so far back, all he can do is just smashing the ball up the pitch instead of fight for the ball. As you said, that breakaway started by Rodriguez, picked the ball up, ran about the D of the centre circle in his own half, ran past 2 or 3 Brazilian players, played a great ball out to the right-hand side, and then the final ball, Thiago Silva, outstretched right leg, made the interception. But a warning for Brazil.
23 minutes gone here on 5 Live. Brazil 1, Colombia 0. Julio Cesar, who had nothing to do, clears the ball upfield, and then that was Hulk with his bulk backing into Zapata, and it's a free kick to Colombia. Taken quickly, goes to Rodriguez. Rodriguez spins away from a couple of yellow shirts, and then somebody had a hack at him as well. It's a free kick. Get in there, referee.
There's Fernandinho again. There was 2 or 3 players around him. I think Oscar came in as well. They're all looking to make sure that when Rodriguez gets the ball...
No. The free kick was knocked forward, but the referee surely should have pulled it back. That wasn't the Colombia's advantage at all.
Well, I think they tried to take a quick one, and some of the Colombian players were still arguing with the referee over that challenge, took their eye off the ball, and Brazil nearly capitalised.
Maybe the Spanish referee is thinking about the World Cup final here. Brazil on the attack. Paulinho into the penalty area, then he falls over, hoping that there was a foul challenge on him. There wasn't. It's with Ibarba. One of the 2 changes made by Jose Packerman, and I've hardly noticed the number 14 at all. Here's Rodriguez, forward to Gutierrez. Ibarba once more, he's foul tackled, and it's a free kick to Colombia, just beyond the halfway line, left of the centre circle. Earlier in the day, Germany, with a goal from Hummels, a header, beat France 1-0. And they await the winners of this match, and that semi-final will be played in Belo Horizonte next Tuesday with a 9 o'clock kick-off in the evening UK time. Tomorrow's remaining quarter-finals, Argentina-Belgium in Brasilia, 5 o'clock your time at home, and then Holland against Costa Rica in Salvador with a 9 o'clock kick-off. They will provide the teams for the other semi-final in Sao Paulo that I'll be doing on Wednesday.
Colombia at the moment are so reliant, I believe, on James Rodriguez, but he's beginning to drop a little bit deeper. Fernandinho has clearly been detailed to mark him, get in his face, give away fouls, if you have to. He's starting to drop a little bit deeper and deeper to try and get on the ball.
Marcelo on the far side of the field, the left back for Brazil, into Fernandinho of Manchester City. And on it goes, via Neymar to the captain Thiago Silva, scorer of the goal in the 7th minute. To Maicon, preferred today to Dani Alves at right back. Maicon over the halfway line, the Brazilian right. Back to Thiago Silva. And Brazil, even in the heat of a country that they're familiar with, taking a little bit of a breather. That's a great ball to the left side. Initially, Hulk miscontrolled it, but he prevents it going out for a throw-in. Hulk shimmying his way towards the penalty area, almost tripped in the ball, then he plays it in. Marcelo on his right foot shoots, and it's headed on, I think, by Fred over the crossbar.
Again, Hulk, 1 or 2 little step overs, didn't quite get it right, but then determined to get the ball back. A great little reverse pass inside, and as the shot was fired in by Marcelo, not quite sure it was going goalward, Fred tried to flick it on, but very, very difficult, and went over the bar. But Brazil, very much on the front foot. I believe if they can stop Rodriguez, they should win this game quite comfortably now.
That was a goal kick taken by Espina, the Colombian goalkeeper, but it was only tapped to the right of his penalty area to Zapata. He's got to have a problem. He must have a problem.
And that, you have to say, why on earth would you not use one of your sub-goalkeepers? I just think, he may not. Can the goalkeeper come out? Can he run properly? If he's struggling that badly.
Neymar to Marcelo. Marcelo's crossed into the Colombian penalty area. Cleared by Zapata. Back to Marcelo. Into Neymar. Neymar on his left foot. Shoots. Saved by Ospina. Ball still in the danger area. And then there was a foul on a Colombian defender, and it's a free kick to the visitors.
It was Marcelo that played it into Hulk. He's been fantastic up until now. Got the ball on his left foot, driving Pras Zuniga, the fullback, firing it in at goal yet again. Not quite sure where the foul was second time around, but Hulk down that left-hand side is really giving Zuniga a hard time.
Free kicks on the edge of the penalty area for Colombia, who are flattered by the scoreline at the moment, 1-0. That was an opportunity for Hulk. Good save by Ospina, who takes the free kick, and this time he kicks it upfield, away towards the far side of the field. Marcelo slipped, and then, as he was worried about Guardado getting past him, he fouled the Colombian, and it's a free kick to Colombia. The referee's been exceedingly lenient at the moment with some of these rather cynical Brazilian tackles.
I think it's been fair. There's been a couple from Colombia as well, and I've been pleased with the World Cup like that. The referees have tried their best not to book players. 2 bookings, you get a suspension. We don't want to see the best players out of the tournament for, even a game, for absolutely nothing.
17 minutes to half time. Rodriguez with the free kick, and 5 red shirts around the Brazilian penalty area, played in accurately but headed away quite easily by Paulinho, and collected by Colombia again. It's with Armero, the left back, and he tried to swing the cross in, and Oscar's working much harder today than I have seen in previous games in this World Cup for Brazil.
Colombia need a spark of inspiration from somewhere at the moment. I think all the belief that they had coming into this game has been drained a little bit. That goal has really rocked them. They have played it very much, I believe, in awe of this Brazilian team, in this sea of yellow around the stadium.
Armero with a throw-in, aimed at Gutierrez, cleared by Brazil, so the resultant Colombian second throw-in is much further away from the danger area. Armero's going to take it. Scolari must be very happy with the way his side have started. Definitely on the front foot, Brazil, and leading 1-0 in the first half an hour here in Fortaleza. The throw-in goes back to Armero. Armero crosses low. Luis stretches out his right leg, diverts the ball away. Armero's got it again, bringing it down off his chest. Just taps the ball to Ibarbo. Ibarbo in now to Guarin. Guarin now, here's an opportunity, shot driven in, took a couple of deflections. Rebounds to Rodriguez. Rodriguez 25 yards from goal. Weak cross from him. Simple-headed clearance by Thiago Silva. And now here's Neymar, approaching the halfway line. Danced past 2 tackles but couldn't control the ball sufficiently to prevent it going out for a throw-in to Colombia.
It's the sort of game where Brazil don't want half-time to come. At the moment, they're on top, they're controlling the game. I have to say, it's still a frantic pace, which is incredible in this heat. Colombia somehow are going to have to change something at half-time.
Oh, no. David Luiz sprints forward. Did the referee think about giving a free kick to Brazil? Change his mind. David Luiz is still going. He's going to run out of room though. Zapata gets across him, takes the ball off the former Chelsea defender, and now it's Zapata from Armero's pass. Tackled by Oscar. And Luiz left the foot in on Zapata there. Play continues. Brazil have the ball here. Then the tackle comes in swiftly on Hulk, and it's cleared to safety for Colombia to the near side. Ibarbo. And then he loses possession. Fortunately for Colombia, it's back with Armero, who's deep inside his own half, and cleverly just played it off Oscar out for a throw-in. So the referee's coming back to speak to David Luiz.
Yeah, he just had a little bit of afters with Zapata, didn't he? But I think David Luiz, what is he, centre-back forward? Is that what we're going to call him? But actually it was Gutierrez that had a little bit of a kick at him. I think that was the problem. It wasn't actually with Zapata, the number 2. What the real issue was. But again, Brazil on the front foot, bursting forward at players. Final ball, a little bit of quality, isn't always brilliant, but they're playing at such a high tempo. Colombia simply can't get in the game.
You're listening to Danny Mills on 5 Live. Brazil 1, Colombia 0. Brazil with a throw-in. Maicon to take it, thrown towards Fred. Fred couldn't get the ball back to him, but it might rebound to Neymar. It does. He's helped out by Fernandinho, and that's a good ball to the left side to Marcelo. Marcelo brings the ball under control, 35 yards from goal, into Neymar. Neymar overhits the pass into the penalty area, the direction of which Paulinho would run into, and it's behind for a goal kick.
I think all the emotion that Brazil went through in that penalty shootout and that last game has really galvanised the side. You can see now they're making mistakes, but there's no dropping of heads, there's no shrugging of shoulders. They are, right, let's get it back as quickly as we possibly can. Doesn't matter who's giving it away, my teammate's going to help me out. And I think that's a massive change from what we've seen Brazil in the last few games.
In contrast, Colombia have been a big disappointment so far. But they're only a goal behind here. 13 minutes left in the first half in Fortaleza. Back it goes to Zapata to take the goal kick. Not his goalkeeper, Espina. Zapata hits it towards the right side for Colombia. Straight to Hulk. Hulk moves infield, then he quickly flicks the pass back to Marcelo. Hulk once more. Now to Thiago Silva. Brazil look quite confident today in a way that they didn't look against Chile, or when I saw them previously live against Mexico. Marcelo on the far side of the field. Infield to Paulinho. And now taken up by Fernandinho. Swept to the near side and Maicon back to Oscar, who's certainly much more heavily involved than he was in any of the group games. Despite that beautiful goal in the opening match, hasn't done a great deal, the Chelsea player. Marcelo again, and Brazil just slowing things down for a few minutes, as if they need a breather. But actually, while they control the ball, while they refuse to give Colombia an opportunity to have a taste of it, they're just emphasising their current superiority. Marcelo into Neymar. Neymar with a bit of run, approaching the penalty. On it goes to Maicon. Maicon's first touch was awful, and it's behind for a goal kick, surely. No, the assistant's given a corner.
Well, I think the Colombians will argue about that. It was a fantastic position from Neymar. Just dropped in between the D of the centre circle, the D of the penalty area. Got himself on the turn, played that ball through for Maicon, who isn't quite as quick as Dani Alves, but he's still doing his best to get forward.
Neymar to take the corner from the right footed into the near post, and a glancing header on from Fernandinho, but it's wide, so wide I think it's gone out. Or is it a goal kick?
Yeah, it went out for a goal kick. The spin on the ball took it out for a goal kick, and then sort of looked like it rolled back into play. I think it's a dangerous ploy. There's nobody on the posts at all.
The marking for the goal was awful.
That was terrible. Sanchez lost his man at the back post, and we're now seeing with the goalkeepers now having to take goal kicks. Brazil know that he's struggling and are pushing right up, and they're going to force him now to kick it. Oh no, now they're going to have a change. Now Zapata's going to come across and take it and just simply launch it upfield and generally give it back to Brazil.
The goalkeeper for Colombia clearly isn't fully fit. Zapata takes the goal kick. A little over 10 minutes left in the first half. Brazil 1, Colombia 0 here on 5 Live. Maicon hits the ball down, but that's picked up easily by Amero, midway inside the Brazilian half. On to Gutierrez, back to Amero. Amero plays it deep into the penalty area, trying to tee up a shot. Rodriguez is there, he's challenged. Oh, the referee's given a free kick to Colombia. Why? Was it Fernandinho's challenge?
Yeah, Fernandinho's high foot dive, jumping in, almost karate kick style. Caught Ibarbo just on the foot. I think it's a little bit harsh.
Yeah.
They both went up with high feet. I think Fernandinho just got to the ball first, but this is now 2 feet outside, almost level with the post. Great position for Rodriguez.
As soon as the referee awarded the free kick, there was a hush around this arena, perhaps for the first time. Here is a threat at the Brazilian goal. Julio Cesar standing by his left hand upright at the moment, directing how many people he wants in the wall, and precisely where in relation to the goal line he wants that wall position.
He's got to hit the target, has to hit the target from this distance. Whether it goes in or whether it's a great save, it will give the Colombians a massive lift if they can do that. I'm just looking at Cuadrado, that's maybe looking like he's going to strike this. Obviously it'll either be him or Rodriguez, you expect, but Cesar I think is going to have to be on, really on his mettle.
Well, it's in the D, the ball, and it's slightly to the right as Colombia look at it. You'd think it would be made for a left foot shot, and that would be Rodriguez. There's still a Brazilian standing in front of the ball. That's Oscar. Oscar finally retreats. I'm not even sure that wall is back the full 10 yards. That's the nearest 10 yards I've seen in this World Cup. Anyway, Colombia have an opportunity here. We've only got 8 minutes left in the first half. They trail 1-0 to Brazil in Fortaleza. Guarin is there. Rodriguez is there. So too is Cuadrado. It's Rodriguez who shoots, and the wall was nowhere near 10 yards. They sprinted, and the referee was negligent.
I just took my eye off there. It wasn't touched, was it? The ball wasn't touched to the side. Because when he hit that, I think it was Fernandinho. It was about 3 yards away from
ridiculous.
the ball.
No, I'm sorry. This referee's playing to try to get the World Cup final. That wasn't good enough from the Spanish official, who we know from the past is a good referee. I'd love to see a replay of that free kick to judge where the Brazilians were. Not 10 yards, they weren't. Anyway, there's another free kick here for Colombia. This one's not really threatening the goal. It's from the left, swung in by Rodriguez, easily caught by Julio Cesar. And now that the ball's safely in Brazilian hands, I wonder if we're going to replay the free kick. No. It could be embarrassing, of course. Anyway, here's Paulinho rushing forward over the halfway line, and he's fouled. It's a free kick to Brazil.
Colombia struggling at the moment with the running power. You know, Paulinho getting the ball, running forward. He's playing more advanced than Fernandinho. They've struggled with Hulk running at them, Neymar running at them. They've got to get to grips with this game. They just need to get into the game. Into half-time, still 1-0 down, and allow the coach Peckerman to maybe just tweak things, just calm them down and give them a little bit of perspective. They're still in this game. Brazil are on top, but it's only 1-0, and as we've seen with the likes of Cuadrado and Rodriguez, they have special players that can score from anywhere.
We are 7 minutes to half-time. It was in the 7th minute that Thiago Silva scored Brazil's goal. Here's Neymar. Neymar squirts the pass to the left to Hulk in the penalty area, and Hulk on his left foot, lashes the ball over the crossbar.
A little bit of a rash shot that time, but he's looking to go down the outside every single time and drive that ball goalwards. Just a little swerve of his body, and again, Zuniga cannot cope with him at the moment, and Hulk's a very good weapon on that left.
Cuadrado on the far side of the field for Colombia. Back in to Sanchez, just over the halfway line. Drives it forward. It was chested away successfully by Thiago Silva. David Luiz, great ball to the left side. Great control too by Neymar. Midway inside the Colombian half. Surges forward into the penalty area. But, maybe his touch at the end wasn't great, and it's behind for a goal kick.
He just overran it in the end, but he went past Zapata like he wasn't there. A little step over, knocked it past him, gave him 4 or 5 yards, and just went past him like a rocket. Just overran the ball. But Brazil are doing fun. When they run at Colombian defence, the Colombians simply cannot cope with it.
Still harking back to that Colombian free kick, I have noticed that the host broadcaster, if there's a remotely controversial incident that might not reflect well on Brazil, they never show a replay.
I think to be expected.
You reckon we do that in England, do you? Don't think so.
Probably not, because we're far too honest.
No, we wouldn't do it.
And we queue up and do things like that. And
we wouldn't, because people like me would give off a stink. Anyway, Colombia search for an equaliser on the far side of the field. It's played to Cuadrado. He's tackled, loses the ball. Good work by Brazil. Marcelo runs towards the halfway line. The pass was to Hulk, who didn't control the ball but might win it back. No, it doesn't. Squirts off his left foot and all the way through to Ospina.
Colombia have got to get tighter to people, especially in that midfield area. All the Brazilian players at the moment have been able to get the ball and turn and then start running at people, and that's what's causing the Colombians problem. They've got to get closer, stop the Brazilian players from turning.
Rodriguez plays it towards Ibarco. Back it comes to Rodriguez, into Gutierrez. It's to the left of the penalty area. And so, just for a moment there were 3 Colombian players down injured inside the Brazilian penalty area. One of them stayed down, and the ball's out for a Colombian throw-in. So they better make sure that Ibarco is okay.
Well, we talk about, the Italians being great at defending. The Brazilians aren't bad either. They will bump, they will knock you off the ball, they will, check your runs and block you at any opportunity.
He's okay. He's limping a little bit, but he's in the penalty area, the Brazilian penalty area, awaiting this throw-in from the left, from Amero. Amero aims it towards Ibarco, and then Ibarco was pushing the defender. The referee spotted that from a couple of yards. It's a free kick to Brazil.
I think it's been a really good display so far from Brazil. They'll be a little bit disappointed They haven't scored a second goal, and they've been on top. They've had some half-decent chances. Colombia have never really threatened. That one half chance on the breakaway where they got through, 3-on-1, Thiago Silva's outstretched leg. But Colombia, I think, have played in awe, have shown Brazil too much respect. They've got to get closer to players in that midfield area, because the Brazil players, they're coming off their defenders, picking the ball up, turning and running at people, and Colombia cannot cope with that.
Here's Spread, lifting the pass on the volley to Neymar. Neymar's first touch not great, and then he goes down. That was perilous from Zuniga, and it's a free kick to Brazil, a couple of yards outside the penalty area to the left of the D.
That's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. The ball was just hooked out wide. It wasn't a particularly quality ball. Zuniga was frightened to get close to Neymar. Neymar was able to bring the ball under control, turn around and start running at him. And once you have that as a defender, you're on the back foot, you get yourself square. You know, the likes of Neymar, a little trick, a little sort of almost a heel-toe movement of the ball, nicks it through his legs, you're always going to struggle. They've got to stop it at source.
Jose Peckerman on the replay was just looking at the skies and thinking, oh no, that was stupid. The free kick's in a great position for Brazil. Now David Luiz is there, Marcelo is there, Neymar is there. So too is Hulk. Neymar standing deliberately behind the ball. He wants this. Hulk moves away. David Luiz, we frequently see take a blast at a free kick for Chelsea. But as I say, this is close to goal. Needs to get it up and over the wall and down, and that will threaten Espina's goal. Here's Neymar. It's over the wall, over the crossbar as well, and I think slightly wide.
Couple of feet over the bar in the end. Didn't quite get enough dip on the ball. It was a decent free kick, always going wide, never really had it going on target, never going to trouble the goal.
By the way, the temperature that was showing on the information screens before kickoff was 29 degrees centigrade, so that makes it, what, 84? Something like that.
It's ridiculously hot, isn't it?
It feels hotter than Manaus, Danny, when we were there for the England game.
Oh, definitely. You know, we were coming in to the game, and it felt like the heat in Miami. It really is a hot day today.
Right, there's another free kick for Brazil.
But the tempo of the game, Alan, you'd never guess it. You know, it's been
quite
absolutely frantic, isn't it? And Brazil have been so quick and sharp to close people down.
Zuniga, that was a crude challenge on Hulk, and I'm sorry, I don't care which player commits it, Colombian or Brazilian, that's a yellow card.
It is, but I think we have to say that the referees, I think, in this tournament have been incredibly lenient, but they've been lenient to everybody. So at least it's been consistent, at least it's been fair.
Hulk was still on his backside, now being helped to his feet by Gutierrez. The free kick's only a few yards beyond the halfway line. Fernandinho trying to steal a yard or two. Finally plays the ball back to David Luiz. And here's the goal scorer, Thiago Silva, as we await the fourth official and his indication of the added time. 1 minute of added time, 1-0 to Brazil. With Rodriguez fouled from behind, and again Fernandinho gets away with it. No, I'm sorry, Danny, I disagree with you. I don't care. They're being far too lenient. They're able now basically to kick at will. That was a yellow card again, from behind on Rodriguez, the best player for Colombia.
I wouldn't mind playing in this game.
You'd get away with murder.
That'd be brilliant.
Well, I'm sorry, that ain't right. That ain't fair. And I don't care which side it affects. Ball's just out of play near side of the field. And Fernandinho blasted into Rodriguez again. Play continues. Here's Oscar. Neymar shows. Marcelo's available down the left side. Approaching the end of the added minute. Into Hulk. Couple of yards outside the penalty area. Marcelo. Hulk again. Tries to return the pass to the fullback. Easily read there by Zuniga, and Marcelo fouls the fullback. It's a free kick to Colombia. No, it's not, because it's half-time. The referee's blown his whistle. 1-0 to Brazil, and they thoroughly deserve to be in front.
Well, I think Brazil have done very, very well on the front foot from the beginning. Poor defending for the goal from Colombia. Nobody on the back post. Sanchez allowed Thiago Silva just to drift in at the far post, and he bundled it over the line. But Brazil, they've been sharp. They've got stuck in. They've got into tackles. Yes, there have been some borderline tackles, especially from Brazil. We have to say that Neymar was given some very rough treatment in the last game against Chile. But Brazil on the front foot, getting stuck in all over the pitch, very, very quick to close people down. Colombia have got to get closer in that midfield area, because when the Brazilians pick the ball up and start running at people, Colombia simply cannot cope with it.
Yepes had a long, let's say, unfriendly word with the Spanish referee, presumably along the lines of, do you know what a foul tackle is, ref? Clearly he doesn't. Half-time, Brazil 1, Colombia 0.
Danny, Brazil well worth their lead, of course, but as ever when you're 1-0 up and you don't take advantage of your opportunities, you just fear that it might come back to bite you.
Well, of course, when you're on top, the last thing you need is half-time. You felt if the game carried on like that, Colombia didn't know what to do. They were shell-shocked. They're a little bit lost out there at the moment. Rodriguez gets the ball, Fernandinho's getting stuck into him, leaving a foot in at times. Now is an opportunity. It's bizarre. We've just seen two players swap shirts, Almeida and Holt, in the tunnel on the monitor.
Neymar's already swapped shirts with somebody as well.
I've seen that at half-time. That's ridiculous. Concentrate on your game, surely. If you want to do it after the game. Concentrate on what you're supposed to be doing. But I think now is an opportunity for Peckerman to chat to his team, to say to them, look, you've been outplayed, but you are still in this game. You've got to change something. Got to get closer in that midfield area.
Okay, then Brazil lead at half-time, thanks to this. Thiago Silva with the early goal. Brazil 1, Colombia 0 at half-time. Tim Vickery and Chris Waddles, the fireworks go off here in Fortaleza, back in our studio in Rio. Chris, what are your half-time thoughts?
I don't think it's a great game. I think two nervous teams. The passing's absolutely woeful. And I've got to say, that's the first time I'm really going to talk about one, but the referee is a joke. He's just stopping everything. He's not getting his cards out when he should. I mean, that free kick Colombia had in a great position to equalise. There was two players within 2 yards or 3 yards of the lad when he strikes it, and he didn't even bring it back. Obviously he's been instructed not to book people, and it's spoiling the game because you can just do what you want.
And Tim, what about the game itself?
Well, it's Colombia's worst nightmare. That defensive line of theirs, very, very deep. This was a worry that we had about them before the game because it has implications. It means that there's plenty of space for Brazilian players to get on the ball and run at that defence. And it also means that there are set pieces to be had there for Brazil close to the Colombian goal, and one of them led to the goal. Brazil, I think, a little bit better balanced with Maicon in the team, because as we were saying before, Maicon will keep wide where Daniel Alves cuts in all the time, and Maicon keeping the pitch wide has allowed Oscar to tuck in a little bit more. I think that's given and defensively I think Oscar has done very well, but as you were saying earlier on, Brazil haven't finished off the job yet. They looked well in control of the game against Chile, and then they made a mistake, conceded the equaliser, and the whole team deflated like a prick balloon. So still plenty of football to be played in this game, but it was the first half, apart from only scoring one goal, it was the first half that Brazil would have dreamt of.
Tim Vickery and Chris Waddle in Rio, here in Fortaleza then. It's 1-0 to Brazil at half-time as we go to the newsroom, and James Wickham.
On digital, online, smartphone and tablet. This is BBC 5 Live.
Wolf Harris is beginning a 5-year and 9-month prison sentence. He was sentenced at Southwark Crown Court after being found guilty earlier this week of 12 indecent assaults against 4 girls. The judge said Harris had shown no remorse. Our correspondent David Silito says it marks a fall from grace.
He represents so much more than just being a good artist or being a good singer and dancer. His songs, everything about him. He was on television as a children's entertainer in 1954. This is 60 years. How many generations have grown up with him and have trusted him and have believed in him, and then to find out all of this.
Louise Anton, who's a singer from Perth in Western Australia, says she was groped by Harris at a luncheon held in his honour. She gave 5 Live her reaction to his sentence.
The Rolf that we all knew is no longer. The fact that he won't ever be able to be performing again or committing these dreadful crimes. So I think in that way, even though I think only 5 years, I think he's been made a great example of, and I feel like his life is over.
Amir Khan has been arrested on suspicion of assaulting two 19-year-olds in his hometown of Bolton. The alleged attacks took place in the early hours of this morning. The men's injuries weren't serious. A spokesman for the boxer says it was a minor incident. Andy Coulson, the former tabloid editor who became David Cameron's communications chief, has been jailed for 18 months for phone hacking. Coulson was found guilty last week. Two other journalists, Neville Thurbeck and Greg Miskew, were each jailed for 6 months. Matt Driscoll was a sports journalist with the News of the World who left the newspaper after a dispute. He was in court today.
I think that's a lot of time to reflect on what's happened. I don't think he'll believe what's happened, really. I think this is the beginning of the end, maybe, of a very sorry chapter in Fleet Street's history. He'll have a lot of time now to think about all of that.
And German authorities have arrested an employee of the intelligence service on suspicion of spying for the United States. Reports say the man has been trying to gather information on a parliamentary committee which is investigating the extent of surveillance by America's National Security Agency.
This is 5 Live, the home of Brazil 2014.
We'll start in Hertfordshire. Hemel Hempstead. The A414 is closed in both directions. This is between the M1 turn at Hemel Hempstead and the A5183 and the A405 for St Albans because of a serious accident. That's having a knock-on back to the M1 southbound. The Junction 7 exit slip road is closed. And that's it. 5 Live travel with James Wickham.
Through breathtaking scenes of green and gold, a pulsating rhythm hammers the ground. Up sleeping knolls and arduous hills, a cacophony of noise cuts through the wind. Gentle lanes and winding roads are beaten by the sound of 1,000 rotations. And on the paths and in the villages, the people wait.
He looks behind and the whole peloton are chasing him down the road as they come up towards the line.
On Saturday, you can hear exhilarating live coverage of the first stage of the Tour de France 2014. We'll guide you through the Grand Depart as the riders battle from Leeds to Harrogate. Tour de France 2014, Saturday from 3 on 5 Live Sports Extra.
And in 5 Live Breakfast from 6, I'll be live from Leeds as preparations are made before Stage 1 gets underway.
Brazil 2014, the World Cup. This is 5 Live.
Where Brazil are 1-up at half-time here in Fortaleza against Colombia. The winners will play Germany in Tuesday's semi-final in Belo Horizonte.
Here comes Kroos with the cross, really good one, and into the back of the net for the opening goal from Matt Hummels. Germany celebrate down by the quarter flag, and it's taken just 12 minutes to break the deadlock in the Maracanã Stadium, and it's Germany who lead France by Matt Hummels' goal to 0.
And that's how it finished, 1-0 to the Germans, through to a fourth successive World Cup semi-final. Afterwards, Danny Murphy spoke to Mark Chapman, and he was very critical of the way the French played.
Yeah, it seemed, I don't know whether they ran out of legs or whether the German possession wore them down, or wore them out, I should say. It's like it was a group game. There was 10 minutes to go and I'm thinking, run around, leave it out there. You watch the Americans play against Belgium the other day, there wasn't one of them who didn't put 100% in and die out there, and it didn't seem that way from the French. But credit to the Germans. Talk about professionalism, killing the game off, keeping the ball, good decision making, breaking well. They should have won it by 2 or 3 in the end.
And that decision-making, that killing it off, came from the three in the middle for you, didn't it? And Khedira and Kroos and Schweinsteiger.
Well, Schweinsteiger was outstanding. His use of the ball at times was brilliant. Of course, I like a good midfielder, but also Muller. I mean, he plays wide, he plays as a 9. When Klose went off, he ran behind, he came to feet. But overall, the Germans just had a bit more nous, a bit more experience. And as I say, the possession of the ball in that heat was what did it for them compared to the French.
Obviously we don't know yet who Germany are going to play. Will be Brazil or Colombia. If it was the hosts, would they have problems with the Germans?
Yes, I think they would. It'd be a fascinating game. I think, as I said, the German experience, their knowledge and know-how on the ball was brilliant today, but what the Brazilians have that maybe the French don't is much more athleticism everywhere on the pitch, defensively, midfield, everywhere in the Brazilian team they've got good athletes. So I think it'd be a fascinating game, and I certainly wouldn't imagine the Brazilians with 20 minutes to go giving up like the French did.
Danny Murphy with his thoughts on the first semi-final. Elsewhere away from the World Cup, 7-time champion Roger Federer is into another Wimbledon final. He dismantled the Canadian Milos Raonic 6-4, 6-4, 6-4 to reach his 9th Wimbledon final, and he'll play Novak Djokovic.
we didn't come through the rankings together, so I was established while he was coming up. So I think it was totally different for both of us. You know, we saw each other in a different light than we see each other today when we're both ranked high. We've both achieved a lot, so things have clearly changed over time. But ever since he's won Grand Slams and became world number one, it's been really a cool rivalry, in my opinion.
Well, the number one seed Djokovic saw off Grigor Dimitrov in 4 sets to reach his third Wimbledon final in 4 years, and he relishes this rivalry with Federer.
It's a good chance for me to try to win against him on his favorite surface, on his favorite court. This is where he has the most success in his career, winning many titles, and he's been looking very well, very good throughout the whole tournament, very dominant with his matches, and I'm sure that he wants to win this title as much as I do.
Lewis Hamilton scored an important psychological blow ahead of the British Grand Prix by beating Nico Rosberg in second practice today at Silverstone. The Mercedes driver will aim for pole tomorrow, buoyed by his fanatical home support.
It's incredible. The support we have here is it's just mind-blowing, just to see how many people are out in the grandstands, the amount of flags and the caps, and the support is phenomenal.
Just some cricket results for you from the T20. Lancashire's game with Birmingham was washed out. Gloucestershire beat Sussex by 13 runs. Hampshire beat Kent by 47 runs as well. Kevin Stadler has held on to his lead at the French Open. He'll go into the third round, 3 clear of the field after a 3 under 68 to finish today's 10 under. British players Graham McDowell, Stephen Gallagher and Jamie Donaldson all 7 off the pace. And in the Super League, 2 results for you. Hull 18, Warrington 24 and Wakefield 16, Leeds 40. The team's in the tunnels. Chris Waddle, what can Colombia do? What should they do in this second half?
Well, they've got to look after the ball better. They've got to move it quicker, and when they break, they've got to break in numbers. There was one occasion they had that, and they didn't. The final ball let them down. I mean, Hulk's had all the chances, and really Brazil could have put this game to bed already. They've had 2 or 3 really good chances, but the referee's basically given licence, Mark, to go and obstruct, foul, pull. He's not going to do anything about it. So I think that's the way the game's going to go. Until he gets the yellow card out, we're going to see a lot of stop-start in football.
But Tim, do you think there looks a bit of balance to this Brazil side tonight?
Yes, I think so. The emotional hiccup of the Chile game, perhaps they're over. We'll find out if they concede. Looking at Colombia options, maybe young Quintero to come off the bench. He's a lovely old-fashioned passer with the ball, left foot, wonderful left foot. Not sure about the fitness of Carlos Bacca, who to me is their most dangerous striker. We haven't seen him yet in the tournament. He looked very, very sharp in the warm-up games. So while it's 1-0, there's still a chance for Colombia to get back into the game. But I've seen Brazil do this in the past. The use of tactical fouling. Spain were very unhappy about it after the final of the Confederations Cup last year, when Brazil just didn't let Spain get into the rhythm of the game at all. Interrupt. And as Chris has said, the referee has given them carte blanche to do exactly that.
Yes, so they're just as adept at the dark arts as any other team, Tim.
Forget about jogo bonito. What they want to do is win football games. I remember seeing it in the final of the Copa America 2007 against Argentina. A lovely Argentine passing side. They had Riquelme and Verón, the young Messi, all together. They never got a sniff. Brazil didn't let them. Brazil got in amongst them. Interrupt the game. If that's what's needed to win, that's what they'll do.
Tim Vickery and Chris Waddle in the studio in Rio. Let's have a word with Danny Mills before I hand over to Ian Dennis. Danny, what about Colombia's approach in this second half? What does it need to be?
They've got to change their mentality, got to change their attitude. They've got to do to Brazil what Brazil have done to them. They've got to come out with a higher tempo. That midfield area is being run by Brazil. They've got to get some tackles in. They've got to get close to people. Players are left free at the moment for Brazil. They're picking the ball up, turning unopposed, and then running at people, and that is causing the Colombian defence all sorts of problems. They've stood off. They've shown too much respect so far in this game. They've got to get at them. They've just got to play quick, because at the moment it's just Brazil.
Let me just remind you, huge weekend of sport, of course, 5 Live and 5 Live Sports Extra, the Grand Départ from Yorkshire tomorrow, the Tour de France, the second two quarter-finals here, the ladies singles from Wimbledon, and on Sunday the men's singles, of course, from Wimbledon, and the British Grand Prix, and they'll be qualifying for that tomorrow, of course. 5 Live and 5 Live Sports Extra. Stay with us all weekend for all the best from the cycling, from the tennis, from the Grand Prix, and from the World Cup. And now here's Ian Dennis with the early stages of this second half, with Brazil 1-up on Colombia.
And there's going to be a change as well. Adrian Ramos is going to be coming on for Colombia. Brazil aren't going to make an alteration, but we are going to see Adrian Ramos, who's a forward, and certainly Danny Mills, as you alluded to there with Mark. Because this Brazilian side are not a great Brazilian side. They are beatable, and that for me, if I was a Colombian fan, that would be the biggest frustration. That with the exception of that break when it was 4-on-2, which they squandered, they've not at all tested this Brazilian team.
No, they haven't, but we talked about that. This is new territory for the Colombian team. They haven't been in this situation before. They've always been in the shadow of Brazil. They've always looked up to them, put those players on a pedestal, if you like. You know, these are their idols that a lot of them are probably playing against. And I think that's been a little bit of a problem for them.
It's Victor Ibarbo, who he's replaced, to the 28-year-old forward, who's joining Borussia Dortmund on a free from Hertha Berlin. He's only essentially in the squad because of the absence of Falcao. Has come on at the start of the second half, and we're back underway on 5 Live here in the muggy conditions in Fortaleza, with Brazil leading by 1-0 in their yellow shirts and white shorts, and in this second half will be playing from right to left against the red shirts and navy shorts of Colombia, who have got to do better in their first ever World Cup quarter-final. Brazil proved that they didn't choke when the pressure was on in that penalty shootout against Chile. How will Colombia respond, knowing that they've got 45 minutes to, albeit for the half an hour of extra time, maybe prolong their stay here in Brazil in this tournament? Neymar, Marcelo, and even going forward at times, Brazil have lacked a little bit of cohesion, haven't they?
Their final ball hasn't been great. Chris Waller said at half-time, yes, they've given the ball away an awful lot. But what they have done when they've given the ball away is get it back very, very quickly and hassle and harry.
I do think that the organisation of the Germans will mean that Brazil will be so vulnerable when they play in Belo Horizonte on Tuesday in that semi-final. And of course it's a city that is dealing with the tragedy after that collapsed flyover last night, where 2 people sadly died and at least 20 were injured. And as a mark of respect, the fan fest in Belo Horizonte was today closed.
We've also seen, though, Ian, with that German side, they can be got at. You know, we saw against France 4 or 5 times. You know, the French got in behind. Even Benzema, you know, in the dying minutes, had a great opportunity. Should have maybe squared the ball or drove it low to the far post. But, you know, even the Germans have their weaknesses at the back. There's not one team in this tournament that you actually say is defensively very, very sound. And when we look at the teams that are likely to go through, Brazil, Germany, probably the Dutch, or even Argentina, defensively, all of them are vulnerable.
5 Live in Fortaleza, and welcome to listeners in the BBC World Service in Africa as well, who may well be listening to our commentary here for Brazil 2014, with that early goal from Thiago Silva separating the two sides. 2.5 minutes into the second half. Just a two-penneth on the referee. I agree he's been weak, but it was an indirect free kick. Although they weren't back the full 10 yards for that incident in the first half, when the ball was touched, they've got every right to go to the ball. However, you've got to be back the full 10 yards to begin with, and the way that they arc round, that Neymar was one of the two players, he must have been about 7 or 8 yards away from him.
It might have been even closer, but again, it's very, very difficult without seeing the replay to see when the player moved and when the ball was touched. The ball doesn't have to move these days, you just have to touch the ball.
Almero is forward, runs out of play for a Brazil throw. We shouldn't be surprised. This is the same Spanish referee that should have sent off Godin for Uruguay against England in the group stages for a second yellow card. So maybe he is, as Alan says, having an eye on the final at the Maracanã. Leading by 1-0 Brazil against Colombia. Oscar to Neymar, the return ball cut out by Yepes. Sanchez out towards Almero over on that far side. I'll run through the two teams for you. For Brazil, Julio Cesar is in goal. Maicon, Thiago Silva, David Luiz and Marcelo across the back, Paulinho and Fernandinho, and then you've got Hulk, Oscar and Neymar behind Fred. Ospina is in goal for Colombia, Zuniga, Zapata, Yepes and Almero, Sanchez and Guarin in the centre of midfield, with Rodriguez and Cuadrado and now Ramos alongside Gutierrez. So they switched formation, have Colombia, with Jose Peckerman needing a little bit more in that final third. Long ball, pumped in by Almero from the left back position. This is Zuniga. Was he fouled by Hulk? Yes, he was. Free kick. And it'll be a direct free kick for Colombia on the right-hand side. There are 6 Brazilian players, by the way, in the squad who are on a yellow card, and after the quarter-final stage you then get the amnesty. So it's impossible for any player to miss the final by picking up a yellow card in the semis. And we hope to have the pleasure of the company next Tuesday and Wednesday in Belo Horizonte and Sao Paulo respectively for the last 4. This is the second of the quarter-finals. Brazil lead by a goal to nil. Cuadrado to take this free kick, 15-20 yards in from the right touchline, playing from left to right. Brazil trying to hold that line just inside the penalty area, and it comes headed away by Thiago Silva, the goal scorer and the captain. Flicked further away by Neymar. Guarin will go back to Sanchez in the centre circle. Along the ground, Rodriguez turns. Nice little turn too. Tries to thread it through. And it'll run away from Cuadrado, who'd made the run in from the right-hand touchline into the penalty area. And it's into the arms of Julio Cesar.
Thiago Silva's been exceptional so far this evening. You know, every single time there's been a threat on goal, he's been there in the right place at right time. Some people might say he's got lucky at times, but you know, you've got to gamble sometimes. Put yourself in the right position, and that's what he's done. You don't get lucky time and time again. That's really good defending for you, Thiago Silva.
Incessant noise inside the Estadio Castelao here in Fortaleza. Fernandinho coming forward for the home side. Looks to go on the outside, away from Guarin. Guarin though recovers at the second time of asking. The referee's given the free kick for that challenge from Guarin, who's actually smiling and almost laughing at the referee.
Just trying to see what he has given it.
Didn't see anything wrong. Fernandinho fell over.
No, I think what he's getting...
Unless there was an earlier challenge that impeded him.
It wasn't the challenge on the edge of the box, it was just before that. I think it's one of those where, as the defender runs across the back of the player that's running in front of him, he just catches his leg. And Fernandinho started to stumble and then went down maybe 10 yards later, and that was made by a little bit of confusion.
30 yards out from goal, right of centre. Brazil lead by a goal to nil. 5 live here in Fortaleza. Free kick. Then you've got Hulk. Maicon is actually shielding the ball, almost standing in front of it, but shielding the ball from the Colombian wall. Neymar is, I don't know, less than 12 inches away.
He'll touch it to Hulk and then dink it to the far, touch it to Maicon and dink it to the far post, I expect.
It's Neymar with a chip into the penalty area. And it's headed wide for a goal kick. Neymar actually thought it was a corner, as did Fred and the rest of the Brazilian team.
Well, I think it was. I think Zapata got the final touch on it. It was that little touch and then just the dink to the far post. And clearly it was Zapata that got the touch, not David Luiz.
Goal kick is taken short. Ospina to Yepes, the 38-year-old. With a ponytail and the bearded defender of his experience. Up towards Gutierrez. Cut out though by Maicon as he looked to play Rodriguez over on that far side. Just stepped out at the right time, did Maicon. And here is Oscar. On that right side for Brazil, goes back towards Thiago Silva, the captain, standing still at walking pace. He then plays the ball gently forward towards Oscar. Now towards Marcelo on the left-hand side, using the width, these yellow shirts of Brazil. Hulk, and they're allowed to play as well, as Hulk just finds a little bit of space. Slow to close them down are Colombia. Oscar picks out Fred, back to goal, lays it in field towards Hulk. 2 players ahead of him, central position, 35 yards out from goal. Marcelo on the left-hand side, left corner of the penalty area. Marcelo goes on the outside of Sanchez. Sanchez tries to get a foot into the challenge, and Ospina backpedaling inside that 6-yard area. Takes a blow in the process, but hangs on to the ball. And it was a good take in the end. Well, Marcelo, off Sanchez.
Yeah, Marcelo did very, very well down the left-hand side. Stopped the ball, and a little bit of acceleration. He was trying to dink it to the far post. It did take a deflection, looped up. I think Fred was tripped a little bit and ended up colliding with the goalkeeper. no malice, no intent there, and both players are still down, just feeling a little bit groggy.
6th consecutive time in the quarter-finals for Brazil. Germany, of course, have already reached a 4th successive World Cup semi-final. First time that any side has achieved that, with that Hummels goal after 13 minutes at the Maracanã to beat France earlier today by a 0-0. And tomorrow we've got Argentina-Belgium from 5 o'clock your time, followed by Holland against Costa Rica live from Salvador at 9 o'clock. The winners of this, however, will play Germany in Tuesday's semi-final in Belo Horizonte. And it's Brazil's slender lead at the minute as Sanchez runs into trouble. He's given the ball away. Up towards Neymar from Hulk. Hulk wants the return ball. Zapata will cut that one out. It was asking far much of Hulk. And it goes out of play for a throw to the free kick, in fact, has been given to Colombia.
Again, that final ball from Brazil, a little bit erratic at times, not quite the measured pass we expect, and maybe that's due to the high tempo that they're playing at. Normally we expect Brazil to play much slower, much more precise. Because they are playing, they're all chasing around 100 miles an hour over the pitch. They've got to learn, if they're going to continue doing this, it's that chase back, get the ball quickly, and when you do, then slow yourself down.
It's scrappy. Certainly you think we've had 10 minutes into the second half and there's been a stop-start nature, and there's been very little quality for a World Cup quarter-final so far in Fortaleza in this second half.
But very entertaining, I would say. But, lots of incidents, lots of, not too many goal-mouth incidents, but lots of incidents in and around the pitch.
Luiz to take the free kick. The Brazilian fans are whipping themselves up into a frenzy once again, up and out of their seats, jumping up and down. Neymar gives the ball away. Ramos now has it, the substitute. And this is Cuadrado, the back heel to Ramos. Sliding across was Luiz. Slid away off the knee and out for a play for a throw. Cuadrado to take it. If somebody could just have a little bit of composure on the ball, there is still a goal for Colombia. Whether it be Rodriguez, who is yet to really feature in the second half, or Cuadrado, who we know can be a tricky customer on the right-hand side, Colombia yet to really show that little bit of quality. Zuniga is forward, goal kick, didn't keep the ball in play.
That's always the fear, Ian, when you're only 1-0 up, you're on top, you're dominating the game, but you don't kill it off at maybe at 2-0. You can struggle, and it does. We've seen Rodriguez score some phenomenal goals, some incredible strikes so far in this tournament, and that's what Brazil have to be wary of.
Well, they've never actually beaten Brazil on Brazilian soil, and they've only won 2 of their previous 25. They're going to have to do it the hard way. They're going to have to come from behind. Brazil are leading by a 0-0. Paulinho driving forward for Brazil. Hulk waits on this near side of the left, midway through the Colombian half, flicks it forward down towards the Spurs midfielder. Paulinho, almost as if he's waiting to invite the challenge from Sanchez, tried the back heel, didn't go out of play as maybe he wished, as he was struggling for options, but Colombia's clearance, and it's Fernandinho to tidy up and play the ball across towards Maicon, and Maicon easily accelerates away from Rodriguez, and Maicon continues to come forward, back inside towards Oscar. Fred did the step over, Maicon had already made his run in towards the penalty area, and Olmeiro will bring the ball away for the red shirts of Colombia, who trail by a 0-0. 57 minutes played on 5 Live. Rodriguez on that far side, lays the ball back towards Guarin. Guarin along the ground now. Gutierrez will drop deep in towards the centre circle. The return ball to Gutierrez, bounces away off his right foot, and it's Hulk who's doing the job of Marcelo to come in and clear.
Thiago Silva's got a problem, just stretched for that last challenge, has stayed down after the clearance into the air, and is clutching, looks like to be his knee. There's a clear, serious problem for Thiago Silva.
Thiago Silva being consoled at the moment. He looks around whilst he's lying on the ground to see where the referee is. There's also another Brazilian player, which is Fred, who's now just on his knees. Physio hasn't yet been called forward.
I think he's pulled a calf, or strained it. He went into a challenge, no real contact on that, and as he sort of went to push off and turn away, he's limping somewhat. Looks like he's going to carry on though.
Thiago Silva is back on his feet, and the free kick was launched towards the penalty area, cleared away by Marcelo, out of play for a throw, which Cuadrado will leave to Zuniga. Guarin has made the run. Rodriguez is drifted into a pocket of space about 35 yards out from goal. Here is Cuadrado. The ball then is played towards Gutierrez. There's a man over, which is Almero on that far side, the left. He keeps the ball in play, pulls it back towards Rodrigo, and then the shot in the end from Guarín, left-footed volley, couldn't spin and turn and keep it down all in one movement. And it sailed wide for a goal kick. 1-0 Brazil.
Well, just for a moment when Almero hooked that ball back to the edge of the box, Rodriguez took it on his chest, and you're thinking, is he going to shoot? We're going to see another spectacular goal? Very, very similar, but Paulinho got close enough to him to put him off. He played the ball to Guarín. It really had no real conviction.
The Colombian supporters in three splashes of red away to our right-hand side are trying to rouse their team. Not that the players might well be able to hear them, such is the bubble of noise that goes on inside this stadium here in Fortaleza. Rodriguez, Luis will clatter the ball away.
Thiago Silva's got a problem, Ian. He's still limping, he's not moving freely at all. He went into that challenge, pulled out and didn't want to turn. Whether he's got a bit of cramp or if he's tweaked a muscle, he needs to get himself off.
Rodriguez continues to drop into central positions to try and pick up the ball. That bypassed him on this occasion. We've hardly mentioned his name, James Rodriguez, as Guarín has, with a lucky deflection, placed the ball forward towards Gutierrez. Now it's out towards Ramos. Ramos's shot is charged down, and it's Thiago Silva. Anywhere will do. They look a little bit ragged, don't they, at the back, Brazil? Hardly convincing in terms of defending Danny Mills. Out of play, it goes for a throw on the Colombian left. Almero to take it. This game is still, Colombia can still work their way back into this, because Brazil are not convincing at all in this second period. 15 minutes played, an hour on the clock, 5 live in Fortaleza. Brazil lead Colombia by 1-0. Almero to Ramos, edge of the 6-yard box, hook clear by Luis. And that's a good free kick to be won by Fred. Going to ground under the challenge from Yepes. That'll buy some time. And see Thiago Silva walking a little bit more freely, but I'm sure Scolari will be concerned.
The game is frantic at times, a little bit, very scrappy. But I think at the moment Brazil still have the edge. They are working that little bit harder. They are a little bit sharper, first to the second balls, and still have got Colombia just on the back foot.
After being put through the ringer in that penalty shootout against Chile, the Brazilians inside this stadium may well have hoped that the early goal, yes, it did settle the nerves, would have led to more goals by now. However, it has certainly not materialised that way, and at such a slender margin, they might well yet go through a few more testing times in terms of the emotions between now and the next 29 minutes.
Just saying that although we've seen an awful lot of rough challenges, we haven't seen too many players rolling about unnecessarily, have we? Most of them have actually just jumped up and got on with it.
Cuadrado, caught there by Marcelo. Cuadrado shouting to the referee. Still he refuses to brandish a yellow card. And it's Zuniga now who's having a word with the Spanish official. This is a free kick about 6 yards in from the touchline. James Rodriguez is going to take it. Bouncing up and down in the red and yellow are the Colombian supporters. They're optimistic. Brazil hold the line on the edge of the penalty area. Everybody is back bar Neymar. Guarín is currently standing in an offside position, which I think the referee's just pointed out to him. Rodriguez to take the free kick, kills it in left-footed, bobbles around inside that penalty area. Fred of all people hooks it up in the air rather than being away. Comes out to Cuadrado, looks for the diagonal ball, headed away on the edge of the penalty area by Fernandinho. If I was a Colombian fan, Danny Mills, I'd be quite optimistic that they could maybe still snatch something against this Brazilian defence. However, Neymar bounces off Cuadrado, no foul. He ran into him. Cuadrado at no point did anything wrong in my eyes.
No, he knew what he was doing. No, that was a body check. Neymar had done him with a little inside out with the right foot, went to flip inside him, and just, it's a straight body check. Accidental, a little bit maybe, but it's still a foul. He's nowhere near the ball and he just runs straight into Neymar. You can't complain about that being a foul.
Did Neymar not run into him?
But if you don't get the ball, Neymar checks inside, knocks the ball past him, he impedes him. Simple as that.
Danny Mills, a quarter-finalist with England in 2002. Brazil lead by 1-0. 63 minutes played. Level with the penalty area. 10 yards away from that left corner of the penalty area. Neymar adjusts his shorts. Colombia have a two-man wall protecting that near post. Neymar. What's the delivery like as they look for a cushion in Fortaleza? Neymar now runs up, right-footed, free kick towards the far post, down the throat of Ospina, who looks for the early release, and the goalkeeper was impeded, and now we're going to get a yellow card.
Thiago Silva's out of the next game.
And Thiago Silva will miss the semi-final. Thiago Silva, one of 6 players on a yellow card, foolishly just getting in the way of Ospina and then knocking the ball into the back towards the goal, gets the yellow card, and Thiago Silva will be suspended for the semi-final with Germany in Belo Horizonte should Brazil go through.
Well, certainly if the referee was concerned about, not booking players, that's a massive call. As Ospina threw the ball up, the ball was in the air. Thiago Silva, I would imagine, knew exactly what he was doing, tried to stop it. I don't know why Ospina was going to kick it long. There was no Colombian player up the other end of the pitch. But as the ball flew in the air, he just ran in front of him, just hit it with his hip and then turned and rolled it into the net. He's given a book and he's out, and just seen big Phil Scolari on the touchline put his head in his hands. That's a massive blow for Brazil if they make it through.
A significant moment is his suspension, almost as significant as his goal that separates the two sides on 5 Live in Fortaleza. Here is Marcelo, and it's still that goal as the ball is played forward towards Neymar. The Colombian defence was at 6s and 7s there. Simple ball straight down the middle, almost caught them out had it not been for Yepes. Rodriguez, ball forward through, cut out by Luis. Little flick by Fernandinho. And then it's Paulinho who fouls Zuniga, and that'll be a free kick to Colombia. If this game becomes stretched, you wouldn't rule out a Colombia equaliser just yet on the balance of play, because Brazil do not look at all convincing as a defending unit.
But Colombia still haven't really tested the goalkeeper, have they? Julio Cesar, no. Still not really had a save to make. That defence up till now, yes, it's been frantic and scrappy at times, but have held firm.
Rowing continues to stand in an offside position. Rodriguez with a free kick curled in. Yepes is there, the flag is up, it will not count. Yepes has put the ball in the back of the net, but the flag was raised, and it was raised very early. Credit the assistant referee on this near side. The Colombians continue to protest, but that flag was raised very, very early, long before Yepes had put the ball in the back of the net.
The first ball came into the box, it hit David Luiz, I think, on the back, and then, not quite sure why, but then the flag went up pretty much immediately. Just seen it again, good call from the linesman. As the ball came in, there were players offside. You have to say they were interfering with play. There was 2 of them in there at that moment. I've been really impressed with the officials so far in this tournament. Most of the big offside calls, they've got exactly right, and that one was inches, but it was the right call.
But bizarrely, one of them was Guarin, who's standing in offside position, then he tries to go back. Why doesn't he just run and attack it in the first place instead of going on with some sort of tactic to try and outwit the Brazilian defence? Brazil lead by a goal to 0. Holt does the step over, looks to get away from Sanchez as it accelerates. Rodriguez was the player sliding in, and Rodriguez is now shown a yellow card. Well, it took him a time, didn't it? It took him about 64 minutes to show a yellow card, and now he's shown 2 in the space of 3 minutes.
Well, Holt running at defenders, Rodriguez coming in with a tackle from behind, just a late challenge, if you like. Didn't get the ball, tripped Holt. You have to say, you can't complain that that's a yellow card. Yes, there may well have been some others during the game, but that's a clear yellow card.
Brazil lead by a goal to 0. Midway through the second half in Fortaleza, Alan Green through to full time.
There may well have been some other yellow cards. Really? The referee is atrocious. He probably appeals to FIFA then. Now, Neymar, hold on a second. Free kick in a dangerous position here. It's about 35 yards from goal. Neymar's not going to hit this one. This is David Luiz territory. Now, the wall is back to 10 yards. How often have we seen Luiz smack a free kick either around or over a wall and dip? There it goes. Oh, what a goal! David Luiz! Fantastic free kick! Absolutely fantastic! And that surely will guarantee Brazil's place in the semi-final against Germany. It's Brazil 2, Colombia 0.
Well, Colombia are arguing with the referee down there. They've got no complaints about that. It was a clear free kick on Hulk. What a free kick. Absolutely outstanding. He runs up to the ball, he hits it. He's got that technique where he hits the ball with the inside of his foot, and as he hits the ball, he just checks. He has no follow-through. And as he pulls his foot back, ball goes over top of the wall, the ball suddenly decelerates, dips into the top corner. That is absolutely fabulous. You'll see kids all over the place. My kids practice that in the back garden all the time. Yeah, they love watching things like that. That is a fantastic moment in the World Cup. A truly spectacular free kick. And you can tell because there's no spin on the ball at all. He hits it, pulls his foot back, and that's going in the top corner. Although the dip, it starts about 2 yards above the crossbar and dips into the far corner. Sensational free kick.
Presumably Yepes has been booked for dissent, but that's another yellow card by the referee. We're going to see a change now for Colombia, because they're going to bring on Baca, who's a striker. I think it's too late. Baca is going to replace Gutierrez. So there's 2 alterations made by Jose Peckerman. 2-0, Brazil lead. I don't think they're playing that well, Brazil. And if they go on to win this World Cup without playing a lot better than this, they'll not be remembered as great world champions.
No, they won't. But at the moment, all I have to say is they want it more than Colombia. I think the emotion of that game against Chile, all that they went through, they've come into this game and they are going to go down with a fight no matter what happens, and they've wanted it more.
Cuadrado loses the ball, and then Hulk gives it away. They have to respond very quickly, Colombia. Rodriguez, he's been a disappointment. Chipped the ball into the Brazilian penalty area. One bounce through to Julio Cesar.
Still Colombia not tested Julio Cesar at all during this game.
Well, I only heard about Rodriguez. I hadn't actually seen Colombia either live or on television. Such were my travel arrangements during the World Cup. Well, sorry, I don't see him as the star performer. But that's a good pass. Then it's beaten away by the Brazilian defence. We're inside the final 19 minutes of the game. You're listening to 5 Live from Fortaleza. Rodriguez trying to pass a red-shirted colleague through into the penalty area. Rodriguez again, finally he's involved in the game, but he's smothered there by 3 yellow Brazilian shirts, and Marcelo takes it clear. And what's this? He just belts it out of play on the far side of the field. The huge cheers. I mean, he didn't have a colleague in the far side of the field. He just belted it out of play.
It's not been a game of quality for Brazil at all. It's been about attitude, determination, and like I said, the will to win this game has carried them through.
What excuse is that, though? His team's 2-0 up. Now, Thiago Silva, if he's got an injury, he may as well come off now. He's going to be suspended for the semi-final, having picked up another yellow card.
Well, you assume that it would be Dante, wouldn't it, that would come on to replace him? Quality centre-back. Also give Dante...
Here's Dante.
Give him a little bit of game time. Get him used to this World Cup. I don't think he's appeared yet.
Well, he hasn't, and he's likely to be playing against colleagues who'll be lining up for Germany. That's next Tuesday in Belo Horizonte, 9 o'clock kickoff. I'm assuming Colombia can't get 2 goals back here. Brazil against Germany for a place in the final of the World Cup 2014. Michael plays it towards the right edge of the Colombian penalty area, towards Oscar, but he's being well marshalled there by Romero, and decided to play for a throw-in to Brazil.
Neymar's been very quiet, hasn't he, in this second half? Hasn't done an awful lot. Again, it's the 2 centre-backs, David Luiz and Thiago Silva, that have come to get the goals.
From the throw-in, here's Neymar. Neymar's shot, wide of goal.
First time that Neymar's really had an opportunity to have a strike on goal, trying to bend it in the far corner, but wide.
Goal kick taken short by Ospina, and here's Sabata down the near side of the field. I'm not sure he was foul tackled there, but the referee may have given a free kick against Hulk. He has. 17 minutes to go, and really they haven't looked like scoring, Colombia. They just are being overwhelmed, completely overshadowed by Brazil. A generally indifferent Brazil. Make no mistake, if you're not also watching this on television as well as listening to 5 Live commentary, you'll wonder what we're talking about. This is not a great Brazil team. And look at this, David Luiz, he just belted the ball 80 yards upfield. That's hardly in keeping with what we like to think of as the Brazilian style.
No, it's not, but I go back to that emotion that they showed in the last game. This means so much to them. They've lost their heads a little bit. They haven't had an awful lot of composure during this game. They've, hacked at the Colombians at times. Fortunate maybe not to pick up more bookings, although obviously Thiago Silva is suspended. But the passion, the desire they've shown to win this football match is absolutely incredible.
Got a throw in on the near side of the field left. Marcelo urging the crowd to show their support as if it's necessary. They're dancing up and down, the Brazilians, inside this wonderful stadium. They're convinced that Brazil are through to the last 4 to meet Germany in the last 4. Tomorrow's quarterfinals, remember, Argentina against Belgium. That's a 5 o'clock kickoff UK time in Brasilia. And then Holland against Costa Rica from Salvador, 9 o'clock UK time. Colombia on the attack, woeful. I'll be so disappointed with them.
I'm not counting that as a shot. It came inside on his right, just dug the ball into the ground and it bobbled up. It's probably going wide, and Julio Cesar was able to take that at ease.
Marcelo plays the ball to Fred, but his pass to Neymar was behind the number 10 for Brazil, and it's out for a throw-in to Colombia. 15 minutes to go here on 5 Live. Brazil 2, Colombia 0. Thiago Silva's goal in the 7th minute, and then in the 68th minute, a fantastic free kick from David Luiz. After earlier, Neymar had a couple of efforts from free kicks that just didn't threaten goal.
Well, I remember watching free kicks of the past, Brazil, the likes of Zico. I remember watching Thomas Hessler for Germany. That is up there with the best of them. That's a phenomenal skill. He will practice that day in, day out. To hit the ball with that much pace with the side of your foot, with no follow-through, and that's the key. No follow-through means the ball decelerates once it goes over top of the wall. It was about 2 yards above the ball and then dips into the top corner. Sensational.
Well, I remember commentating on Roberto Carlos's fantastic free kick in Le Tournoi in France in 1997, a year before the French World Cup. We kept on expecting Roberto Carlos to repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. He hardly ever did. But David Luiz has a pretty good record with free kicks. And the Brazilians, of course, love him. And I'm learning during this World Cup from little pieces I've seen of David Luiz on television. He's a lovely guy. That's his 2nd goal in the World Cup. Neymar chases after a long ball outfield. He's got Fred to his right. He didn't have the vision. Instead, he springs over from a fair challenge by Yepes, and he should be embarrassed. Fred was completely unmarked.
That was a really good challenge from Yepes, though. Had to make that as the ball was bouncing up off Neymar's touch. Came in, ball and man, superb tackle.
They're trying to make something happen at Colombia. Cuadrado is switch flanks. He's on the left side now, but it ain't happening for them. That's given away carelessly by Brazil. And here's Rodriguez, who might make something happen. Forward it goes, Rodriguez again, edge of the D, feeds it through, here's an opportunity, digged over the goalkeeper, Julio Cesar, is it a penalty kick? It is a penalty kick. Cesar had brought down Baca. Here's an opportunity for Colombia.
Need to see that again. I think that's at first sight, I think that's a harsh call. Goalkeeper comes out, makes the challenge, they collide, he just tries to dink the ball over him. It's a great little pass through from James Rodriguez. But as the goalkeeper comes out, I think he's already going down. He's expecting contact,
but he put his right leg.
Yeah, I can see why it's been given. I think the player's already going down, but no. Julio Cesar giving away a penalty. Redemption in the last game after that cost him in the last World Cup. I'm pretty sure he won't want anything to come. Well, even if they score 2-1, he won't any more of it to come of it.
Well, to me, it was a clear penalty kick. He brought his right leg right across the Colombian striker, and the referee had no doubt, and for once in this game, he's made the correct decision. Whether it's time enough for Colombia. It's an opportunity to get one back on the Brazilian 2. Now, Julio Cesar naturally took his time. Rodriguez has the ball. He's going to take the penalty. David Luiz trying to have a word in his ear. I was saying nice things about David Luiz, and look, he's still talking.
The Brazilian players are all very, very humble. You know, a lot of them come from very, very poor backgrounds, very, very impoverished backgrounds. But, you know, this is football. This is the World Cup. David Luiz will be in his ear. Fernandinho's there. They will be doing everything possible that they really can to put him off. This is about winning football matches. You know, forget what they do off the pitch. This is about trying to put him off, trying to stop him from scoring.
Nevertheless, I will feel my right is there to disagree. Sorry, I don't like players trying to do that.
But it's what you do. If you were down there playing, it's what you would be doing.
Penalty kick. Rodriguez for Colombia. Now he's had to wait a long time. The ball placed in the spot. Julio Cesar on the goal line. 11 minutes to go, plus added time. This to give Colombia hope. Rodriguez for his 6th goal in the World Cup. Scores. He hesitated in his run-up. Julio Cesar took the hint, went to his left, and the ball went to his right, and Colombia have hope. It's Brazil 2, Colombia 1.
I think that's their first shot on target. Rodriguez very, very cool under pressure. Had to wait a little bit for the penalty, and as it came in, he just stopped, waited for Julio Cesar to dive to his left-hand side, put it in the other corner. Very, very cool, and suddenly now we have a game on our hands.
Cuadrado's coming off, and Quintero, who's a clever player, coming on for Colombia. Can they rescue it? Can they take it into extra time? 10 minutes left of the 90. And the whole of this arena, after going wild in celebrations from the fabulous free kick struck by David Luiz, are now worried. They're nervous. Maybe not as nervous as they were in the Chile game, but we'll see. Colombia have hope. Ramos goes forward, plays it to the left side, looking for the return cross, and the cross hit the fullback, and it's behind for a corner kick to Colombia.
Well, Brazil have now got a tricky 5-minute spell.
Rodriguez takes the corner short to Amero, back to Rodriguez, cross left footed in a penalty, goodness gracious, it was a glancing Brazilian head, and it was almost an own goal, but the flag is up for offside anyway. Free kick to Brazil.
Well, just as I said that, Brazil have really got to stay concentrate for the next 5 minutes or so, just weather the storm. Colombia have suddenly got their tails up. You know, you've got Dante shouting from the sidelines, just calm down, show a little bit of composure. Julio Cesar is now taking as much possible time as he can. This next 5 minutes is going to be absolutely crucial.
Ramirez of Chelsea will come on, and we know what a good player he is and how he will stiffen things defensively for Brazil. 9 minutes left here in Fortaleza. Brazil 2, Colombia 1. Here's Hulk inside the centre circle, trips on the ball, loses possession, so careless. Forward it goes to Rodriguez. Rodriguez looking for his colleague Ramos down the right side. Across came the challenge. Another corner conceded to Colombia.
Brazil just going to remain composed, keep their concentration. A strange time to make a substitution as well. You don't often see managers make a substitution when you've just conceded a corner.
Hulk is going to be replaced, and well, there's so much noise inside the arena, but I tell you what, the majority of it is being caused by the Colombian fans. We don't know how many there are in here. We know the ones in red are Colombians, but there'll be an awful lot still wearing their normal shirts of yellow, and this arena is a mass of yellow. So a corner to Colombia from the near side, their right, and they've only left 2 players back in defensive positions. Ramirez is on and immediately moves inside the Brazilian penalty area. So the corner to be swung in left-footed. There it goes, in toward Julio Cesar's goal, headed behind another corner.
Good header from Fred at the near post, back doing defensive duties. Brazil, if they're going to keep their lead, they're just going to attack this ball.
Quintero again, left-footed. Little deeper this time, surely. No, sharper towards the near post, headed away, and under play it's going to be a throw into Colombia. Another ball's been thrown onto the pitch. I wonder if that was deliberate.
No, it hit the hoardings. The pull hit the hoardings and bounced straight back into play.
Throw it taken by Colombia, and the referee's unhappy about something. What? Not far enough back. Well, seem to be the same position. Throw goes into the Brazilian penalty, hooked toward the far post. Zapata is up from defence, but it's rushed away on the far side of the field by Fernandinho, who I think Zapata fouled, and it's a free kick to Brazil, and they'll be very happy with that.
Good defending from Fernandinho on the far side, back doing defensive duties, shielding the ball out of play, just bought a little bit of time. Zapata a little bit over anxious to try and win the ball, didn't need to, just nudged him in the back and gave away an unnecessary foul.
The Brazilian fans are now being picked out by the television director, hoping to see them react and wave to the big screen. No, they're concentrating on what's happening on the pitch. They're very concerned. Inside the last 7 minutes here, and we'll have 3-4 minutes of added time at least. Brazil are concentrating on defence here, but look how many yellow shirts they had poured forward for that free kick, and the ball is with Bacca approaching the penalty, slips into the left, Amaro crosses, takes a glancing header, Rodriguez brings it down, but the flag is up for offside.
Again, the referee very, very quick to put his flag up on this near side. Amaro just got in advance on the far side. Again, another good decision. I have to say again, the linesmen that normally we absolutely berate for offside decisions, I think in this World Cup have been very, very good.
I agree with the assistants. I think they've been very good. Willie, who's this coming on? Hernandez coming on for Brazil. Scolari's not panicking, but I tell you what, he can't be enjoying what's going on out there. Brazil look very uncertain. They still have the lead, 2-1. You're listening to 5 Live. At the moment, they're heading towards a semi-final with Germany in Belo Horizonte next Tuesday. But Colombia sense there might be a second goal on. The run is forward, the tackle comes in from Oscar, what's the decision? And the assistant gives a corner kick. Quintero to take it hurriedly. Oscar spun away.
Again, Alan, they're going to make a substitution before the corner. That's very, very unusual because it just players coming back, especially midfield players and centre forwards, just lose a little bit of concentration, and that's all it takes. That 1 second, lose your concentration, lose your man, and suddenly equaliser.
Paulinho's the man who comes off. Hernandez sprints onto the pitch, rushing into his penalty area. Quintero to take the corner, left-footed from the right side. It'll swirl in toward Julio Cesar's goal. Hit low though, through a corner, cleared by Brazil. There looked to be a push in the back of the Brazilian. Good advantage played by the referee. Brazil counter-attack. Oscar over the halfway line, slows things down, looking for support. Oscar, he tried to play the ball in, hit a Colombian, and then Oscar got a little nudge in the back, and he rolled over as if his head had been taken off his shoulders.
Well, I think the immediate concern will be Neymar, who was caught late with a challenge. The referee allowed play to go on. Brazil had a counter-attack, but he's laid down, flat on his stomach. I think he took a knee in the back, and that could be very, very sore, and will certainly take a few days for him to get over that. He's already had a few knocks, if you remember, from the Chile game. Just seen it again. It's a poor challenge from Zuniga, straight into his back with his knee.
There's only 4 days to the semi-final. Next Tuesday, the first of the 2 semi-finals. The stretcher's on. I'm not actually sure it'll be needed for Neymar. Remember, Thiago Silva is already suspended from the game against Germany if Brazil get there. And now Brazil are very anxious about Neymar's condition. How many substitutes have they used already, Brazil? Ramirez is on.
Just the 2 so far.
Just the 2, so they've got 1 more. Yes, and that will be Henrique.
But this is
concerned is the condition of Neymar.
He's not moved. If he's taken a knee in his back, if that's put his back out, he's going to have to get some ice on that very, very quickly. Maybe get in to see the chiropractor. A knee in the back, is very, very damaging at times. Your back, those muscles spasm, they seize up. It starts to hurt. It affects your hamstrings, your groins, everything else. We don't need to see that.
Neymar's in tears. He's not fooling anybody here. He is seriously hurt. And Brazil's World Cup may go on, but they could be missing 2 key figures. Neymar's been substituted, of course, by Henrique. They may be missing 2 key figures if they go on to play Germany in the semi-final. How many minutes to go? 2 minutes of the regular 90 plus significant added time. Brazil need to slow things down, surely. Free kick is inside the Colombian half. It goes back to Fred. Fred then loses it. That's poor from Fred, and Colombia have a throw-in just over the halfway line. Jose Pekerman, the Argentine coach of Colombia, right on the edge of his technical area, shouting instructions. His team are revived here. The ball is forward on the far side of the field, and the Brazilians are whistling, but they move forward. It's Baca up towards the edge of the D of the Brazilian penalty area. An attempted shot, rebounds to Romero on the far side of the field. No longer a left back, more like a left midfield player now. In it goes, Freddy Guarín of Inter Milan, and that's a good ball to the right side. Now, can Zuniga get past his marker? He can get past his marker, Marcelo. He gets past another one. Was he tripped? No, he wasn't. That was a dive. Good refereeing. And it should be cleared by Marcelo, who got pushed, and he'll definitely take the free kick. Very happy with that.
Well, I think Rodriguez is going to be careful about his protest here. He's already on a card, of course. Again, just comes across Marcelo on that far side. And clever play from the fullback. Saw the foul coming, just stepped across his man and drew the foul.
No free kick just yet. Marcelo rolled over, a few times, as you do, but he's all right. David Luiz will take the free kick, and in 15 seconds' time, we'll see the critical amount of time that will be added on at the end of the 90 minutes. That's 5. Well, that's certainly enough for a second goal for Colombia, and Brazil will be wary of that. They're not playing. The game's gone very rugged. Throw in.
Big fillers on the touchline, screaming at Fred to get back. Put a bit more work rate in. Give them something. Hold the ball up.
It's headed away by Brazil towards the halfway line. Fred doesn't find a collie. Colombia have the ball on towards the far side of the field. Now, Quintero to Rodriguez from the left side, rolls over, gets a free kick. Oh no, the advantage is played by the referee. Colombia have the ball into the penalty area. It's played back by a Brazilian to Julio Cesar, and he whacks it safely up over the halfway line.
Fabulous defending from Fernandinho, got back in the right time. How often we see that this year for Manchester City, as the player was running through, just managed to dive in inside his own box, had to time it perfectly.
Ball played crossfield by Colombia, headed away by Marcelo, and now over the halfway line. Brazil had the ball, 4 minutes of added time remaining. They move towards the Colombian penalty area, then it's chipped. I think that's too far ahead of Ramirez it is, and it's behind for a goal kick. Ospina just taps the goal kick out of his penalty area. Doesn't hit it long. He can't hit it long. Zapata onto Zuniga, just short of the halfway line. Right side for Colombia. In it goes. Quintero to the other fullback. Romero on the far side of the field, midway inside the Brazilian half. Low ball into the penalty area. Diving header clear by Thiago Silva. He'll be suspended from the semi-final if Brazil get there. Romero again. Crosses left-footed, high again. Headed on by Ramirez into the penalty, headed down, but behind the Colombian player, Yepes. It's gone behind off a Brazilian boot, and it's a corner to Colombia.
Header was just a little bit too firm. You see the Brazilian players on the bench biting their nails, biting their bibs. Really, really nervous last 3 minutes.
Quintero to take the corner, left-footed again from the right side. Glancing header on wide of the far post.
Never really heading goalwards from Ramos. A decent header flicked on. 3 Brazilians tried to challenge him. Again, nobody on the posts at all for Brazil. Header in the end drifted well wide. Brazil now going to keep it, get the ball up the other end. Get the ball, keep it in Colombia's half.
There, a second ball was deliberately thrown onto the pitch. It did hold the play for a few seconds. 2.5 minutes of added time remaining here in Fortaleza. Brazil 2, Colombia 1. At 2-0. Brazil, you think, home and dry. Not playing the greatest of football. They're not a great team, but they're on the verge of the semi-final. Colombia have scored with a penalty, rightly awarded by the referee, converted by Rodriguez. time is running down now. Only 2 minutes of the added time.
Got the substitutes on the bench, turning to the crowd, waving to the crowd, trying to get them just to lift the players for this final 2 minutes.
Well, Fred hasn't lifted them by committing a foul, and Fred trying to get to the ball before the goalkeeper kicks the ball away from the goalkeeper. You can do that if you're Brazilian and you're in a Brazilian World Cup. Colombia take the free kick. And now it's Zuniga on the near side of the field, moves over the halfway line. 90 seconds of added time remaining. Zuniga was truly body checked there, and it's a free kick. A free kick was a hand in the face by the Brazilian. An opportunity for Quintero to swing the ball into the Brazilian penalty area. Zapata's up from the back. There's no point in holding back now, Colombia. Even the goalkeeper might think of coming forward. Ospina's up to the halfway line. Maybe he'd be one man too many. No, he isn't.
Just don't get yourselves offside this time. How many times have we seen it? They get themselves in offside position. Goalkeeper's at the far post as well.
Last minute of added time. Quintero swings it in. Goalkeeper's there. It was a Colombian header on, but it's behind over the crossbar, and it's a goal kick to Brazil, and that might well be it by the time Brazil take the goal kick.
That's Colombia's last chance. I can't see them coming back now. Brazil will, well, they'll get the ball up the other end of the pitch, or they'll keep it. You know, what is there? 40 seconds to go. Thiago Silva just having a word with Julio Cesar. I think Brazil now, the fans are starting to wave. I think they know that this game's pretty much over.
Julio Cesar finally hits the goal kick. 25 seconds of added time remaining. There's a run on the far side of the field by Ramirez. Has he got the ball? He may even be fouled. He is fouled. It's a free kick, I think. A free kick to Brazil, and that will be that.
Yeah, well done, Ramirez. Tried to play a little ball in behind, realised that no one was going to chase it down, so ended up chasing his own pass and then drew the foul.
We're not even going to get the free kick. The Spanish referee blows the final whistle to signify that Brazil are through to the World Cup semi-final, where they'll meet Germany. And boy, Germany might be a different proposition to any of the opponents that Brazil have met so far. They're on home soil, they've got a huge advantage, but they need to play an awful lot better than this.
Well, it was a fantastic occasion. I think it was a great game, not in terms of quality, but in terms of endeavour, of passion. At times, you know, there were balls were given away to him. A lot of fouls, 27 fouls Brazil gave away, 22 from Colombia. It was that scrappy, bitty game. In the end, I think Brazil just wanted it that little bit more. That early goal killed off Colombia. They were in awe from the very, very beginning, and once they conceded that first goal, that was it. One shot on target, really, I would say, in the whole game for Colombia, and that's not enough.
And now for ironic applause to the Spanish referee, who's definitely put himself in line to referee the World Cup final.
I'm not sure he has. He suspended Thiago Silva for the semi-final. I'm not sure he had to do that.
Ignore it.
Well, but is it a booking? He runs in front of the goalkeeper. He could have quite easily just said no to that. And the referee, yes, he could have booked a lot more players, could have booked players for both teams at times.
Thiago Silva will be playing against Germany, and there must be a huge doubt about Neymar. Final score here in Fortaleza, Brazil 2, Colombia 1.
Well, it's a lovely scene in the centre circle. James Rodriguez, one of the stars of the World Cup, 6 goals, has been consoled by David Luiz and Dani Alves. And at one stage, Luiz, who's now swapping shirts with Rodriguez, pointed to Rodriguez and then pointed to the crowd, Danny, as if to say, everybody celebrate this young man's talent.
Well, I think, you know, we have seen in the Brazilian players, they are very, very humble. You know, when you go around Brazil, you see where they are from. A lot of these players are, you know, from very, very poor backgrounds, or, you know, some of them even from favelas. Their only opportunity from life. We were talking to a Brazilian the other day who was saying, you know, these players, it's like going from being a homeless person to overnight winning the lottery and suddenly becoming an absolute superstar, but they have remained very, very humble throughout. I just think today, after the emotion of the Chile game, Brazil wanted this just that little bit more.
Rodriguez, still in tears, gets a hug from Luis Felipe Scolari. Tim Vickery, did Colombia simply leave it too late? Because in the last 10 minutes they really frightened Brazil. Should they have gone for it a bit earlier?
Perhaps, but that's the way they play, with a very deep defensive line, and they paid the price for that in terms of the set pieces that they gave away. Rallied towards the end, and how much of that is yet another emotional collapse by Brazil? How much of that is just not having the legs? But the one thing that Brazil don't give you very much is controlled possession. I wrote a piece on the BBC website this week saying that Brazil these days, they don't beat you on flow, they beat you on moments. They had their 2 moments from set pieces today. They didn't have any flow at all in the second half, and they worked like mad to stop Colombia having any flow. Constant interruptions of the game. Danny gave us the foul statistics there. 27 fouls committed by Brazil, 22 by Colombia. So a scrappy game, and I just wonder, and Brazil, they've achieved their objective at this game. They keep winning games. But I wonder how many friends they're losing all around the world. For people who've grown up with a certain image of Brazilian football, I wonder how many of their millions, billions of admirers around the world are a little bit disappointed with what they're seeing in this World Cup.
Well, look, it's just a snapshot. It's anecdotes coming into us, Tim, but certainly your fears are being realised, judging by our tweets and texts here. As you said earlier, Diogo Bonito, you must be joking. Foul, 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 whistle, foul, foul. Chris Waddle, you a little bit disappointed from what you've seen?
Yep, definitely. I've got to say, if they win it, I've just said to the people in the studio, if this team win it, it's the worst team to win a World Cup. I kind of believe the referee, and I know people don't like harping on about it, Cesar's got to go red, no doubt about it. Other incidents throughout the game, referee, Colombia will have a moan up about it, rightly so. They don't let anybody start passing the ball, Brazil. Yes, they're using home advantage, but they just stop the game when they think there's going to be a problem. They'll go and obstruct, they'll go and pull, and they should have had at least 5, 6 yellow cards tonight. Been off very lately. Yes, they'll say Thiago Silva's banned for the semi. Rightly so. They foul all the time. They could have booked 4 or 5 of them. They're getting away with murder, let's be honest. So, I feel a little bit for Colombia, but as Tim said, they play too deep. They won all a little bit of Brazil and all the occasion tonight, and then when they actually realised they had nothing to lose, they got back into the game and really could have took it extra time.
Danny, was there a case for sending off Julius Cesar? I mean, I thought Ian Dennis said to me off air, possibly the ball had just run away from the attacker, so maybe it wasn't
it has to be
nailed on goal scoring opportunity.
The ball has to be going towards the goal, which it wasn't. It was going sideways. David Luiz was covering round. So I think a penalty is enough in that situation.
Julio Gomez from BBC Brazil joins us. We'll speak to Julio after the news as well. It is 11 o'clock with you back in the UK, 7 o'clock here in Fortaleza. Germany-Brazil semi-final on Tuesday. Here's James Wickham with the news.
On digital, online, smartphone and tablet, this is BBC 5 Live.
Rolf Harris has been sentenced to 5 years and 9 months for indecently assaulting 4 girls in the 1960s, 70s and 80s. The judge said Harris's reputation was in ruins, but he had no one to blame but himself. The sentence has already been referred to the Court of Appeal under the unduly lenient sentence scheme. Liz Dux is a solicitor representing several more people who've come forward since Harris's conviction.
He used his celebrity status to abuse, and that is what the judge took into account when sentencing, and I think that is reflected. 5 years is quite substantial to give an 84-year-old, so I'd be surprised if the Court of Appeal interfere.
The Childline founder Esther Ranson gave 5 Live her reaction.
I don't know how he's going to survive this, because Rolf's whole being existed, I think, in the way he was reflected in his audience. In a way, the worst sentence for him was the knowledge that he will never be praised, admired, respected. His work is now regarded as an irrelevance.
The Treasury has frozen the assets of 3 Britons who've joined a jihadist group in Syria. Rayad Khan and Nasser Mutana, 2 20-year-old friends from Cardiff, and Abdul Rakib Amin from Aberdeen appeared in an online video 2 weeks ago trying to recruit people to ISIS. Ed Miliband says the jailing of the former Downing Street press advisor Andy Coulson raises serious questions about David Cameron's judgment. Coulson was sentenced to 18 months for conspiring to intercept voicemails while he was editor of the News of the World. Here's the Labour leader.
I think once again it throws up very serious questions about David Cameron's judgment in bringing a criminal into the heart of Downing Street, despite repeated warnings. This is a verdict on Andy Coulson's criminal behaviour, but it is also a verdict on David Cameron's judgment.
Amir Khan has been arrested on suspicion of assaulting 2 men in Bolton. The former world champion has been released on bail. A man working for the German Secret Service has been arrested for allegedly passing information to the United States. The German Foreign Ministry has summoned the American ambassador in Berlin to give what it called swift clarification. British Gas is to pay £1 million for mis-selling energy products to customers. The regulator Ofgem says the company mis-sold to more than 5,000 people in Sainsbury's stores and in a shopping centre in West London. Our correspondent is John Moylan.
They didn't make people aware of the fact that they were from British Gas in the first place, but also it turns out that they weren't giving them very good information, so they were overstating the savings that were likely if somebody did switch supplier. People were told that they would save money by switching, and in fact, if they had a switch that was more expensive.
And the parents of the Australian journalist Peter Grest, who's been sentenced to 7 years in prison in Egypt, say they won't think Western governments are doing enough to help their son until he's freed and acquitted. The former BBC journalist and 2 Al Jazeera colleagues were jailed last month for making up news stories and collaborating with the banned Muslim Brotherhood group, charges they deny.
Wake up with BBC Radio 5 Live. When you're listening to it, it makes you feel you're part of something bigger.
Breakfast on 5 Live.
We've always got the latest travel news.
There was a broken down vehicle blocking 2 lanes until 7:30, which has left congestion.
And it's just there all morning on.
The emotional well-being of the children is quite often missed. We just want our children to be happy in schools.
Weekday mornings from 6 on 5 Live.
BBC Radio 5 Live, the home of Brazil 2014.
This is 5 Live Sport with me, Mark Pugac. Welcome to Fortaleza, where Brazil have beaten Colombia 2-1 to keep their World Cup dreams alive.
There it goes. Oh, what a goal! David Luiz! Fantastic free kick! Absolutely fantastic! And that surely will guarantee Brazil's place in the semi-final against Germany.
David Luiz, brilliant second half free kick, the difference, and despite James Rodriguez's penalty 10 minutes from time, it wasn't enough to deny the hosts, and the Germans now await in the last 4.
Here comes Kroos with the cross, really good one, and into the back of the net for the opening goal from Matt Hummels. Germany celebrate down by the quarter flag.
So Brazil against Germany in Belo Horizonte, Tuesday, 9 o'clock in the evening, your time back home. You'll be able to hear full commentary here on 5 Live. Of course, we are the home of Brazil 2014. So Tim Vickery, Chris Waddleston in our studio in Rio, Danny Mills here with me in the stadium along with Julio Gomez, the editor of BBC. Brazil, you're through. Is winning everything, or do you care about how Brazil win?
I don't think people care about how Brazil wins. This is clearly the case. Actually, I told you guys that in the past. Here in Brazil, it's a big lie that people really care about the jogo bonito and all these things. People really care about winning. It's like that with their clubs, their football clubs, and it's like that with the Brazilian team. The difference is, if you lose playing ugly, you're gonna be hammered. If you win ugly, nobody will criticize you. Look, this game, I tell you what, I think Brazil played a good first half. They controlled the game somehow. They didn't allow Colombia to play the way they like. Brazil scored quick, a fast goal, which was very important. And then they had it controlled. And they scored the second goal, and they thought it was done. And then obviously it all came down when Colombia scored, and then it became this Jesus Christ, just kick the ball. And I think the referee really ruined the game somehow. He tried to control the game with fouls instead of cards. He didn't want to concede the yellow card so anyone would be out of the semi-final, and he decided to whistle every challenge as a foul, and this was not good for the game. I think Brazil played an honest game. It was not.
Think Brazil were quite cynical, Julio? Honestly, you don't think they were rather cynical?
I think these guys are here to win. They were 2-0 up, and then they had to control it.
I think we heard from Tim Vickery said the other day, the South American way is win at all costs, no matter what. Winning is everything, and you saw that today. Yeah. Yes, they gave away fouls. Okay, they were fortunate at times. David Luiz was trying to put off Rodriguez for the penalty. That's what it's all about. It's right. If you win ugly, nobody cares. If Brazil win this World Cup and they play like that in the next 2 games, no one will be bothered. If they lose, completely different story.
And look, 2010, how did Spain win? 2006, how did Italy win? Spain won 1-0 against Paraguay. Very lucky. Paraguay missed a penalty. Well, they won ugly against Portugal. They did a great game against Germany. But that's
also
it.
Champions League, Inter Milan, Chelsea in the past. You know, do you look back in 3 or 4 years and say, oh, we won ugly? No, we won.
No,
that's the most important thing.
The truth is, though, for better or for worse, it may not be Brazil's fault, but the truth is, in Europe, and we're talking about the UK at the moment, this is where
the World Cup 2014 in Brazil. This is SJ Radio.
So there you go then. Brazil will be taking on Germany in the semi-finals. Get into that stage now, because that is what's going to happen. Who's going to be helping them out? Is it going to be Argentina or Belgium? And then the Netherlands versus Costa Rica tomorrow. So man of today's matches in France versus Germany, it was France 0, Germany 1. Brazil versus Colombia, Brazil 2, Colombia 1. Tomorrow's matches, you got Argentina versus Belgium and the Netherlands versus Costa Rica. And then on Tuesday, 9 o'clock, you have Brazil versus Germany. And then whoever wins in the next 2 matches will be on Wednesday. And then Saturday, playoff for 3rd place. And then Sunday, it will be the final. Okay, join us now and the next podcast for the full story behind Rolf Harris, the convicted murderer, the convicted sex pedophile. That is in now, only on Spreaker.com.
The official 2014 World Cup coverage, SJ Radio.